Westview Town. Next morning. The sky was bright and the sun shone faintly, and the weather was slightly cool at 6 o'clock, and most people were still curled up in bed to sleep. Crack. Crack, however, early in the morning, there was a knock on Lee Z's door. Lee, hurry up, we still have to drive to New York to catch the afternoon flight. Wanda was carrying the suitcase, her pretty face full of anticipation for the trip. Wanda, you are a witch, you should use magic directly to bring us to New York, so that I can sleep for half an hour longer. Lee Z glanced at the time. He usually gets up at 6:30, but today he was forced to get up at 5:30 to wash up and prepare his luggage. We're traveling, not on an Avengers mission, so don't expect me to use magic. Wanda pushed him into the elevator. Hurry up, you can sleep in the car. When we got downstairs, the taxi had been waiting for a long time. Just as the two got into the car, a window on the 8th floor of the apartment opened. Agatha leaned out half of her body and asked loudly, "Where are you going?" "Travel." Lee Z was still a little sleepy at first, but when he saw Agatha, he immediately regained his energy. "I actually forgot about the old witch. Now that Wanda is traveling with herself, will the old witch misunderstand the dog jumping over the wall?" But he didn't let him think about it. The taxi driver stepped on the gas pedal to the bottom, and the car slacked out like a runaway wild horse. In a flash, the car disappeared into the horizon of the street. "Mr. Strachey, this damn guy actually took Wanda away, should we follow?" Agatha Nix stroked the rabbit in her arms. Black aura flashed in her evil eyes, and she stared straight at the direction where the car disappeared. Westview Town is located in a relatively remote area. Even if you take the high speed to New York City, it will take a whole morning, and you will not stop to rest on the way. But New York City's international airport is the closest one to Westview Town. Other international airports can only be found in Los Angeles. That place is farther away. But along the way, Lee Z was sleeping almost all the time, not because he was lazy, but because the long-distance bus ride was too boring and always made people sleepy. Wanda, who was sitting next to him, didn't feel bored. He was enjoying the scenery along the way from the beginning of the car ride, and occasionally took pictures of him to watch together. It may be that Wanda's heart has been suppressed for too long, and after she was gradually released, she behaved happily like a child in certain things. But after a few hours, she also fell asleep in a daze. Why? But Lee Z next to him woke up. Looking at the sleeping witch curled up on the chair, he shook his head helplessly. Wanda didn't get out of control, and it didn't cause any tragedy. But everything seems to be going in the other direction. He couldn't figure out the direction. Anyway, he couldn't figure out Wanda's mind now. Forget it. Since you're all here, let's enjoy the trip to Venice first. Lee Z originally is an optimist. The premise of working in the previous life is to enjoy life. The same goes for coming to the Marvel Universe. Hope the next trip will not be disappointing. Afternoon. New York International Airport. Waiting area. Lee, wait here, I'm going to buy 2 bottles of water. Wanda put down the suitcase, turned hurriedly and walked towards the convenience store. It's finally time to register. Lee Z stood there bored, watching the registration instructions, sat in the car all morning, and then went to the plane again. Suddenly I feel that traveling is not so fun. Boom. Just as he was thinking, a figure with his head lowered suddenly bumped into him from the side. "Oh sir, I'm so sorry, I just lowered my head and didn't notice you standing here." Peter Parker looked embarrassed. He was found in a Spider-Man tights during the security check just now, and that person definitely took it as a baby's pajamas. He blamed Aunt May for putting the battlesuit in the suitcase without permission, so he kept lowering his hair and complaining about messages. Unexpectedly, he accidentally bumped into someone. "It's okay, I can carry it with my strong muscles." Lee Z made a joke, raised his head and was stunned. Because he recognized the boy in front of him, it was Peter Parker. "I didn't expect to mention little Spider-Man just last night, but I ran into it today." "Sir, I am very sorry just now." Peter Parker was relieved to see that the person hit was not angry. "Peter. Why are you here?" At this time, Wanda, who came back from the convenience store, was a little surprised to see Peter. "Wanda? Can't believe it, I'll meet you here." Peter was surprised. He is the same Avenger as Wanda. Met at the Avengers base, and even became enemies during the Avengers Alliance Civil War. "My friend and I are going on a trip to Venice," Wanda said, turning her head to explain to Lee Z, "Peter is the nephew of a friend of mine." "Hello, my name is Lee Z, from Washaw." Lee Z didn't expose it. After all, little Spider-Man hides his identity for the sake of safety. He won't be idle and wreak havoc. As the boarding time was approaching, the three of them chatted for a while and then queued up to board the plane. Unexpectedly, they were on the same plane. And even the location is not that far apart. Do you think we will be in the same hotel as them? Lee Z couldn't help but teased. Yet his words came true. Wait until the place. When he and Wanda entered the hotel through the side door, they happened to meet Peter walking in with his classmates. Lee, your mouth is really sharp. Wanda couldn't help smiling. Fated with your friend's nephew. Lee Z didn't feel bad, on the contrary, he was very happy, because he had the opportunity to see a good show put on by Mysterio, a real-life superhero movie. It's true. Movie. Wanda, what room are we in? I'm a little tired after flying all day. He stretched himself, looking tired. I'm going to say something, you have to be mentally prepared. Wanda lowered her head slightly, looked at the paper in her hand, and her face became a little ugly. She seems to have overlooked a question. You say. Lee Z looked tired and didn't notice Wanda's movements at all. Stretch your waist by yourself. However, in the next second, Wanda's words made him freeze. Because the hotel arranges hotel rooms, the two of us only have one room. At the moment, the lobby on the second floor of the hotel. Only one room. Lee Z was not the only one who was also mad. Little Spider-Man Peter immediately had a bitter face when he heard the news, full of reluctance. Peter, this is actually good news, so we can go undercover, superhero. And Scarlet Witch is also. Good buddy Ned didn't care, and raised an eyebrow at him. Peter Parker was slightly displeased, but in the end he could only compromise. After all, they are all in Venice, so they can't fly back. He is going to have a romantic confession with MJ. Farewell to the Water City of Venice is definitely a memorable event that must not be missed. The other side. Lee Z frowned, and looked at Wanda next to him. Wanda, are you sure you're not joking with me? In fact, he knew in his heart that Wanda probably didn't do it on purpose. It is indeed a problem with the hotel. In the original book, little Spider-Man was also forced to share a room with two people. We can only blame the poor conditions of the hotel. Don't worry, there are 2 beds in the room, bunk beds. Wanda also just noticed that the room is for 2 people. She has feelings for Lee Z, but she is not a female hooligan. Moreover, she is a bit introverted and has a thin face, so it is impossible to do so. Forget it. I'm sleepy and I'll catch up on sleep first, and I'll think of other ways later. Lee Z yawned and checked in directly with the luggage. What a coincidence. The location is actually right next door to little Spider-Man Peter. Hi, Mr. Lee, we meet again, and Wanda. Peter carried his luggage into the room, then he poked his head out again, pointed at Lee Z, and looked at Wanda who was communicating with the front desk in the distance. Mr. Lee, what is your relationship with Wanda? You two. The two of you are living together. What is the experience of falling in love with the strongest Avenger? Will she use magic to transform? I heard that there are many things in the witch society. Ned on the side couldn't wait to interject. We're not a couple. Lee Z is quite helpless. These 2 guys are really good brothers. They can chatter non-stop as soon as they meet, and they are full of chatterbox attributes. Don't worry, I understand. The Avengers' relationship is a secret, we will never tell it. Ned raised his eyebrows, solemnly expressing his seriousness. Mr. Lee, don't disappoint Wanda. As a member of the Avengers, Peter is aware of Wanda's experience. I also know that witches are cold-tempered, and they hardly come into contact with outsiders at will, let alone travel or even live with a man. So Peter felt that Wanda was really emotional. Hey, I know you won't believe me even if I tell you. Lee Z was a little helpless and entered the room. But thinking back to what those 2 guys said just now, he couldn't help thinking about Wanda's thoughts again. What the hell is the witch going to do? Eating together every day, taking walks and chatting, even going out to travel and living together now, the 2 of them seem to have become an inseparable couple without knowing it. Could it be that Wanda misses me? As soon as Lee Z said this, he immediately denied it. How can he make Wanda like him? Don't daydream until you figure it out. Sure enough, it's not suitable for sleeping during the day. He sat up from the bed, just now that thought came into his mind, and he became sober all of a sudden. Crack. Crack. You do not sleep? Wanda pushed the door open and entered with a distressed expression. I asked the front desk, and there are no vacant rooms in the hotel now. It doesn't matter, there are 2 beds here anyway. Seeing her, Lee Z's previous thoughts resurfaced in his mind. He shook his head, got up, went to the window and opened the curtains, looking at the sunny scene outside. Wanda, do you want to go out for a stroll? You do not sleep? Wanda wondered. It's not very good to dream during the day, and it's my first time in Venice. What's the point of sleeping in a hotel? Li Zi said. Well, let's go then. Wanda is also visiting Venice for the first time, and she can't wait to enjoy the scenery of the floating city. He didn't notice Li Zi's mood swings either. And at the same time, in a hidden attic in Venice, a piece of equipment is built here, and the radar map is displayed on the monitor, and what data is being captured on it. In the attic, there are still a few figures. One of the one-eyed black men sat on a chair and looked at the man wearing a battlesuit cloak opposite him. Mystery, you said that they escaped from the spacecraft with you. That is, they came from another universe together? While in Mexico yesterday, Nick Fury and Hill met Mysterio, who claimed to come to this strange universe through a spacecraft from another universe. And there are many elements that are harmful to the world that come together. They are hellfire, water, power of the earth, and wind. It was one of the elements that was dealt with in Mexico earlier, the power of the earth. It was also the strong performance of Mysterio yesterday that convinced Nick Fury and agreed to help him deal with the elements. Yes, they come from the multi-universe, but we can track their whereabouts through these devices, just like I found you before. Quentin Baker looked confident, but a hint of mockery flashed in his eyes. At this time, Dee, the device beeps an alarm. Fury, the water elementals have appeared. Hill took off his earphones and reminded. Hear the sound. Several people cast their eyes on the big screen one after another, and a red dot on the screen was attacking Venice at high speed. Judging by the location, it's right in the middle of the water. Sure enough, they are water elements. Nick Fury's expression suddenly became solemn. First, he heard from the mysterious guest that the water elementals can control all water sources. Creating a tsunami to destroy the city is just a matter of breath. And Venice is a city built on water. Don't worry, everyone, let me handle it. Seeing this, the mysterious Quentin Baker showed no tension on his face. He picked up the helmet on the table without any hesitation, and then put it on. His whole body glowed green instantly. The whole person was swallowed by the green mist, and then disappeared in place. Venice, the quintessence of the Renaissance, is a city that stands on water and has traveled by boat for centuries. At the moment, the weather is mild and the sun is warm. The light blue sky is like a lake covering the top of the head, and on the square where seagulls hover, many tourists are taking photos with the retro buildings. Venice is really a city without land transport. Wanda's beautiful blue eyes looked around, and found that there were no vehicles on the road, only boats floating in the water. For people who often live on land, it is somewhat uncomfortable. Venice is a veritable city on the water, and travel has always been by boat. Li Zi next to him explained. Then their water quality is not very good. Wanda looked from the shore, her shadow reflected in the clear water. The wind-blown sponges are undulating and sparkling. It made her want to touch her body. Li Zi on the side stretched out his hand to hold her. I heard that the Venetians drain the bathroom water into the sea, especially when the tide is low and the water is black. Ah. Wanda was stunned when she heard the words. No wonder Venetians rarely swim in the sea. A Chinese, an American. Don't slander Venice. In fact, the waters like this are usually not drained. A flower seller passing by stopped to explain his hometown in broken English. Sorry, my friends are all listening to others. Wanda hurriedly explained for Li Zi. It's okay, you just need to buy a flower. Sir, are you sure you don't want to buy a bright red rose for this beautiful lady next to you? The flower seller suddenly smiled and took the opportunity to market, $5 a flower. $5. Too much. Wanda stared. The price has almost increased 5 times. Is it so profitable to sell flowers on the streets of Venice? But she just finished. One hand has already drawn out the money and handed it over. It's Li Zi. Thank you, sir. I wish you a happy life. The little flower seller successfully sold one, and happily slipped away. You still buy it at such an expensive price, he is obviously cheating outsiders. Wanda frowned. In China, roses are generally only given to those who like them. Li Zi didn't answer her words, but handed the rose to her. I'll give it to you. Ah. Wanda was stunned, looking at the handsome oriental man in front of her. Her mind went blank for a while. What did I hear just now? The meaning of giving roses in China. Is this sentence a confession to myself, or is it just a casual talk? Hi, Mr. Li, Wanda. Just when the atmosphere between the two gradually became delicate. The appearance of 2 figures interrupted his thoughts. The person who greeted her was a mixed-race girl. Her brows revealed sunshine and majesty, giving people a very independent feeling. MJ, actually Peter Parker, who followed behind, hesitated a bit. What's wrong? Wanda was a little dissatisfied. She wanted to question the meaning of what Lee Z said just now, but was interrupted. Peter said the strongest Avenger is his aunt. I want to come and say hello to you. With a smile on the corner of his mouth, Michelle, MJ, looked back at the hesitant Peter. You two really look alike, but I've never heard that Peter has an aunt. Peter Parker didn't know how to answer. Looks like? He doesn't look much like Aunt May, let alone Wanda. The two had met at Mr. Stark's funeral before, and they would not have bragged with MJ if they had known. If exposed, wouldn't it be suspected? After all, being friends with the Avengers, plus the fact that Spider-Man often appeared in the same place at the same time as myself. It's hard not to be suspected. Thinking about it, he hurriedly gestured to Wanda secretly. We rarely see each other, so no one wants to talk about it. Wanda froze for a moment. Seeing Peter gesticulating wildly from behind, she quickly explained. Don't be surprised, I only found out today. Lee Z wanted to laugh when he saw the actions of the two of them. And what MJ said. This chick already knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but it hasn't been revealed yet. From the perspective of the audience, it gives people a sense of comedy. Yeah, because we don't live in the same state, we don't see each other often, and Aunt Wanda is an Avenger who needs to save the world. You know our family is very proud of her, so we don't make too much publicity. Peter obviously couldn't lie, and said a lot of things in one go. A perfect interpretation of what is called an explanation as a cover-up. Are you nervous? Michelle was slightly puzzled. No. I just finished. Peter Parker paused, turned his head to look at the surface of the water, squinted his eyes slightly and found that the water was surging at a very high speed, as if something was passing through the water. What's wrong? Sensing his expression, Wanda also turned her head to look. At the moment, the ship on the sea shook violently. Apparently there was something under the water, making the sea gradually rough. Next second. Boom. I see. The gradually turbulent sea broke out suddenly, and a powerful force soared into the sky, and huge amounts of water shot straight into the sky. The ship on the sea capsized accordingly, and the passengers on the shore were hit and fell to the ground. Immediately afterwards, the water column condenses into a huge amounts of figure at a speed visible to the naked eye. Just like the Titan in ancient mythology, the figure covers the block. The strong sense of oppression suffocated countless people at the scene. Coming. Rear. Lee Z looked at the huge figure and smiled slightly. The farce of the mysterious guest is coming. Boom. The sparkling sea in the north of Venice is like a bomb falling into the water and suddenly exploded. Huge amounts of water splashed straight into the sky and condensed into huge amounts of water Titan in the blink of an eye. Whoop. The water Titan's gigantic body covered half of the street, and then he raised huge amounts of arms, swiping at the surrounding buildings. All the houses were forcibly destroyed, and even the boats on the sea surface that had no time to dodge were overturned together, and the passengers fell into the water one after another. Boom. One of the boats was washed ashore. Peter, things seem to be getting a little exciting. Fat Ned was sitting in the boat, and he hugged his little girlfriend with a look of shock. Great gift crab. MJ, Ned, get out of here quickly. As he said that, little Spider-Man Peter immediately pulled the two of them off the boat, looking at the water Titan on the sea in the distance. At the moment the water Titan has begun to attack the surrounding buildings indiscriminately. He was a little anxious and wanted to deal with the big guy, but then he thought of his identity and willingness, and immediately turned to Wanda and shouted, Aunt Wanda, hurry up and subdue this big guy. Aunt? Ned was bewildered. There is no time to explain, Mr. Lee, please leave immediately. Peter pushed Lee Z. No problem, good luck. Come on, Wanda, as for what you said about sending flowers just now, I will explain it in the room at night. Lee Z waved to Wanda, then took MJ and the others and fled inland. Anyway, everything is a lie of Mysterio. This guy got a bunch of Stark Group equipment, used technology to create an illusion, and turned himself into a superhero image. The purpose is to defeat the supervillain and save the world in front of the world. Become a new generation of Iron Man. Even delusional to surpass Tony Stark. He doesn't have to do anything like this. Wanda is a real magician after all. No, to be precise. Wanda has never studied magic books, so she can only be regarded as a half magician, but it is more than enough to deal with Mysterio, an arrogant ordinary person. Hurry up, everyone, the water Titan will catch up in a while. Lee Z pulled the fat Ned and fled towards the city center with the crowd. There is less water there. Mr. Lee, aren't you going to save the world? Panting, MJ Michelle followed behind and asked with a puzzled look on his face. Those things should be done by Chawing. It's important for me to escape as an ordinary person. Lee Z was slightly taken aback and explained. I'm afraid this chick thinks he's a member of Ultra Miles. After all, few people can get so close to Wanda. Where's Peter Parker? Seeing the trick, MJ Michelle was speechless, and looked left and right to find Peter. He fled elsewhere. Lee Z just finished speaking. Boom. The section of road in front of everyone collapsed suddenly, and the torn huge cracks flowed out torrents of water, blocking the way. As soon as the huge amounts of figure reached the sky, the surrounding buildings were shattered with a slap. Passers-by had no time to react to the sudden situation, and were buried by the falling building wreckage. Shit. How did he catch up? Ned couldn't help cursing. Everyone stepped back. Lee Z was also deeply surprised, as a traveler who had read the original work. He knew it in his heart. According to Mysterio's script, the water elementals shouldn't have appeared here. What is the situation now? Could it be that Quentin Baker saw that Scarlet Witch was also in Venice, so he temporarily rewrote the script and arranged the water elementals here? At the same time, the other side. The dilapidated streets were empty, and the sea was calm, only the wreckage of a few ships floating. Ran away. Wanda looked around and found that the seawater had returned to calm, and the giant water elemental crowd had disappeared without a trace. In seawater, there is no perception of any threat. Just as Lee Z thought. Mysterio temporarily revised the script. Wanda, it's gone over there. Peter Parker shook his head vigorously. For some reason he was a little dizzy just now, as if something was missing. But now the perception is dangerous. He didn't care too much. I'll go and have a look. As he spoke, he picked up the mask on the ground and put it on, then jumped up and swung towards the water elemental crowd. Hello. Wanda wanted to stop him, but the person has disappeared. Then she looked towards the sea. It's strange, when the water elements came out just now, there was obviously no living body. Boom. At the moment, the water elementalists had already begun to destroy the city, and they pulled up waves and smashed them hard at the buildings. Buildings collapsed one after another. What should we do? Ned hid on the corner of the street with his little girlfriend in his arms, looking at the water elemental crowd who were wantonly destroying in the distance. Rao is the always calm MJ, his pretty face is also a little pale. Wait for Chawing, he should be here soon. On the other hand, Lee Z's face was indifferent, and there was even a playful smile on the corner of his mouth. Because, as long as he wants. In his eyes, the so-called water elemental crowd in front of him are just a few flight drones. What? Everyone heard the words. Some doubts. At this time, on the edge of the pure blue sky like a lake, a green figure emerged, and everywhere it went, a green mist swirled across the sky. In an instant, the figure broke through the fog and fell from the sky. He was covered in fog, with a helmet made of special glass on his head, and a cloak battlesuit with medieval style. Hey. Your opponent is me. After the mysterious guest landed, he walked towards the water elements while talking. During this period, the pupils under the helmet scanned the surroundings, but he didn't see Scarlet Witch, and then secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he made a temporary modification to avoid running into Scarlet Witch. After all, the opponent is a magician, a top superhero. Might see through his tricks. Roar. At this time, the water elemental group launched an attack, and the huge arms suddenly smashed towards the mysterious. Ah! The mysterious guest gave a soft snort, and mist rose from under his feet. Stepping on the mist Yukong flight. Immediately, endless mist spewed out from both hands, wrapping around the water elemental crowd below. Although I don't know him, he is really cool. Ned's eyes lit up. A new superhero. MJ Michelle was also surprised. This mysterious man looks a bit strong, and his moves are also very cool, which almost perfectly fits the ideal superhero image of countless people. It's really cool. Lee Z looked at the costume of the mysterious guest, and only now discovered some details. This guy's battlesuit breastplate actually looks like Thor's breastplate. No wonder some people think he is a combination of Doctor Strange and Thor. But he wants to defeat the water elemental to show off. Lee Z has something fun to do. Let's step back, it's too dangerous here. Lee Z pulled a few people back and retreated, and lightly waved the hand behind him. I see. Not far from the shadow of the street corner, several huge amounts of black shadows rose from the ground. They were all dressed in black, appearing quietly at the corner of the street like black shadows. Next second, A few black shadows rushed out like beasts out of the cage, killing towards the water elemental crowd. Whoosh. Several huge amounts of figures appeared on the street. They were dressed in black ninja clothes, and their tall bodies shook the ground when they were running, like a large truck driving at high speed. What is that? Ned, who was running away, looked back and was a little surprised when he saw several huge figures. Those guys are like sumo wrestlers of the Japanese pirates, even much older than them. And more flexible, speed and strength are obviously beyond human. It should be some super organization that came to subdue this big guy. Li Zi turned his head and saw the Shadow Corps appear, after making sure that this position would not be affected. He stopped with the crowd. That's right. Those big guys are all members of the Black Shadow Corps, but this time they are trolls, with unparalleled power. Before that, it was the ninja group. My god, this trip seems to be getting more and more exciting. Ned's face showed surprise. Boom. At the same time. On the playground, the giant water elementals waved their arms and wrestled with the green figure hovering high in the sky, not to be outdone. All the surrounding buildings that were affected were completely destroyed. Damn, he's too strong. In the sky, the mysterious guest clenched his fists tightly, and endless power burst out from his fists, wrapping around the whole body of the water elementals. From an outsider's perspective, he frowned and looked extremely difficult. Actually, only he knows. All of these are phantoms, and the water elements in front of them are just the product of drone projections. And he himself is standing on the ground, and there is no royal skyflight. At the moment, in the eyes of outsiders. Fact. Just finished. Mysterious guest was hit by the fists of the water elemental crowd, and his whole body lost gravity in an instant, falling backward like a kite with a broken string. Boom. The whole person is like a cannonball, smashing into the building fiercely. Damn, you. The mysterious guest swayed, slowly stood up from the ruins, and was roaring at the enemy according to the previously designed script. However, the next second, the sight in front of him stunned him. I see. Several members of the troll group rushed to the water elemental crowd, raised their fists vigorously, then stepped on the ground, and smashed the water elemental crowd brutally with their bodies. Roar. Seeing this, the water elementalists retreated hastily to avoid the troll group's attack. Quentin. What's going on? These guys weren't in the script, they broke into the scene. On the other side, the secret basement of a restaurant in Venice. Everyone stayed in front of the big screen, and when they saw a few big guys popping up in the screen, their expressions suddenly changed. As a member of the mystery group, they naturally know that the so-called water elemental crowd is a scam and does not exist at all. Everything is a technological illusion created by drone projection. They are there to keep the drones running. Fake. Follow the rehearsal before, we have rehearsed before, don't reveal the flaws, and then find a chance to let the water elementals go offline. In the scene, mysterious guest was very annoyed. According to the script originally designed, it took him more than half a minute at most to take action, defeating the plot of the water elemental crowd. At that time, I will definitely become the darling of the media and become the new superhero. The few guys who popped up now disrupted the plan. Calm down, everything is rehearsed. The mysterious guest took a deep breath and stepped out of the ruins. Hey! Be careful, the water elementals control water molecules far beyond your imagination. Hey! The group of trolls didn't turn their heads, and chose to ignore him. Immediately one of them stepped on the ground and directly pulled a drone. Huge amounts of the palms tightened, and an extremely terrifying force erupted instantly. Boom! Suddenly, a drone was crushed into scrap iron like a piece of paper. Quentin, a drone has been destroyed, and these guys seem to know about the existence of drones. In the basement on the other side, the members of the organization turned their backs when they saw this. Hurry up to operate the new drone to fill the previous vacancy. How is it possible that our plan was leaked? The mystery man looked around, looking for suspicious people around him. But nothing. Not having any clues made him even more flustered and annoyed. For the sake of safety, he could only hold back his emotions, and said in a deep voice, "Let the water elements go offline forcibly." On sight. Bang bang bang. Whoosh. The shadow corps of several troll regiments chased after the water elementals. One of them even pulled up the floor tiles on the ground and smashed them. These guys are so strong, they won't be able to stand up to the water once they come to the water. The gift crab, I will train to be like them in the future. Not far from the street corner. Ned hid in the corner and chattered nonstop, his eyes were full of enthusiasm for the Shadow Corps. "Baby, I think you can do it," the little girlfriend next to him encouraged. So, but Wanda is amazing. Li Zi looked indifferent, and found a stool to sit down and admire. You are so calm. MJ Michelle squinted slightly, looked at him and said. You too, the brave are always fearless. Li Zi raised his eyebrows and smiled slightly. While everyone was admiring the battle, the building above them was tall. A masked figure stood on the edge of the building watching the battle. Where did these guys come from? Peter Parker gasped. He had been here a long time. Since he didn't have a battlesuit, he was worried that his identity would be exposed, and the mystery guest had already arrived, so he didn't go down to help. Peter. At this time, Scarlet Witch Wanda arrived late. She was halfway through speaking, and noticed several Shadow Corps below. She was slightly taken aback. They look a little familiar. Wanda, have you seen this organization? Peter Parker wondered. Somewhat familiar. Wanda thought about it, but couldn't remember where she saw it. They are very strong. The mysterious man looks so strong that he can't deal with the water titan. They chase after these guys as soon as they come. Peter Parker just finished speaking. Boom. Suddenly, the bodies of the water elementalists appeared abnormal, and they stood there in a daze, motionless. Immediately afterwards. Next second. Its huge body suddenly exploded, turning into a puddle of water and evaporating, and endless water stains swayed all over the sky. Ho! Win! A few big guys turned over the Titan. Ned rose to his feet and cheered loudly. These guys are so strong. MJ Michelle was also surprised that it was solved so quickly. Wonderful. Li Zi's eyes flashed teasingly. He didn't expect the mysterious guest to be willing to let the water elements go offline under the hands of others. After all, the famous work originally created for him. Defeating a supervillain in ancient Venice, the epicenter of the Renaissance, will surely bring fame. Now famous people will become a few troll regiment members of the Shadow Corps. He does not know. The mysterious guest was actually unwilling, but the Shadow Corps chased him too hard. The people in the organization didn't have time to let the drone withdraw, and they couldn't let the mysterious guest take action to defeat the water elemental crowd. In the end, it can only be forced to go offline. Damn it. The mysterious guest was so angry that he stomped on the wooden plank on the ground. However, in the presence of the crowd, he quickly smiled and strode towards the members of the troll group who eliminated the water elements. Several, thank you for what you have done, snapped. As soon as he walked over, several members of the troll group on the opposite side bumped into him. He ran straight towards the corner of the street. In an instant, several figures turned into black shadows, merged with the shadows on the wall, and disappeared. Hateful. After the mysterious guest Quentin Baker put the mask back on, his face under the mask was distorted with anger. Who is it? Is it really here to solve a supernatural crisis, or to debunk their plans? Quentin, come back first. The person from the other organization reminded. The mysterious guest knew that the longer he stayed, the easier he would be exposed, so he turned around and hid in the darkness. And outsiders look at it. It was the green weapon that emerged from the mysterious guest's feet, jumped up and flew towards the sky. Leave a mess. On the west coast of Venice, the square became dilapidated after a great war. Many surrounding houses were not spared either, and several buildings collapsed, some of which were crumbling if not falling. My God, saved. Those guys just now, where did they come from? It should be a member of a superhero organization. Don't worry about it. If it weren't for them, the city would probably be flattened. The survivor who had been hiding in the dark came out in shock. Their faces are full of joy, and the feeling of survival after the catastrophe makes people unable to help but greedily take a big breath. Hey guys, are you alright? Peter Parker didn't care about the momentum of the close, and immediately found Li Zi and the others. It's okay, Peter, we were discussing those big guys just now. They hit the water titan. Do you know any news? When Ned saw him coming, he immediately asked with winks. I don't really understand what you're talking about, but those big guys are pretty good. Peter Parker nodded back. Lee, are you injured? I didn't expect the water titan to come here just now. Later, Wanda's eyes fell on Li Zi for the first time, and after confirming that she was not injured, she was secretly relieved. We were lucky it didn't hurt us. Li Zi turned around and said that there was no injury on his body. By the way, I remembered something. After Wanda finished speaking, she immediately thought of something. Do you still remember those men in black who appeared when Wilson went to Westview Town to organize a fundraising event and was attacked? Well, what's the matter? When Li Zi heard this, his expression was extremely calm. Those big guys just now are very similar to the men in black before. There may be some kind of connection between them. Wanda frowned. Her delicate pretty face showed seriousness. I wanted to chase them, but they ran too fast. I don't think so. Li Zi pretended to be deep in thought, and said for a moment. Wanda, you are worrying too much. Maybe it's just the same clothes. I may be a little tired. When the water titan appeared, I obviously didn't feel the presence of a living creature, but it may be some kind of materialization. Wanda is slightly tired, she has origin magic power, but that doesn't enhance her physique. Therefore, her physical fitness is almost the same as that of ordinary people. After sitting on the plane for more than 8 hours, I played for another afternoon. A pair of charming beautiful eyes have long been full of fatigue. Then let's go back and rest. Li Zi felt a little distressed, and turned to the people behind him and shouted, everyone, let's go back and tidy up first, it's time for dinner soon. I haven't had Italian food yet. Ned raised his hand and said loudly. Does pasta count? Peter, spaghetti is already bad all over the world, it's not really Italian. Yeah? Yeah, pasta is as bad as baguette. A group of people had just experienced a supervillain's attack, but they didn't feel too much fear. Instead, they chatted and returned to the hotel. The main reason is that they have been baptized by too many doomsdays, especially Thanos' snapping of his fingers, which has already made them numb. Everyone went back to take a shower and tidy up, and rested for more than an hour. The setting sun set in the deep sky outside the exhibition, and the darkness of night gradually occupied the sky. Today, Venice was attacked by unknown creatures. At a critical moment, several men in black appeared to assist another mysterious person and kill the water elementals. Currently, netizens call the men in black shadow trolls, thinking that they are like the former Avengers member Green Titan, possessing unparalleled power and will become a new superhero alliance. Another mysterious person was called a mystery guest by netizens. Hotel restaurant. Peter, do you think the black shadow troll is a super ability user, or a young man like me? Ned has always felt that he is big and has the potential to become a superhero, and he can't stop talking when he comes back. Trust me, Ned, it will do. MJ Michelle at the next table said. I knew there would always be someone with a good eye, Resby. Ned smiled. Actually, Mysterio is also very strong. Peter Parker's eyes fell on the mysterious guest, who always gave him a very strange feeling. But he couldn't tell. Moreover, since arriving in Venice, he always felt that something was missing. The other side. Li Zi and Wanda sat face to face at the dining table, hearing the report of today's news. It seems that the Black Shadow Trolls are about to become famous, and now many people on the ins say that they are the Green Titan group. Wanda looked at the TV with a complicated expression. It's not a good thing for Chaweng to be famous, there are many troubles. Li Zi could see that she was not in a good mood, mainly because she was here today. But no one mentioned Chaweng in the news, and no one mentioned Chaweng at the scene, which shows how low his presence is and how hurtful he is. I don't feel sad. Wanda heard the comforting words, and looked at him stubbornly with her clear eyes. Okay, but I'm telling the truth, my good neighbor, Spider-Man, has been being interviewed recently. He is too busy to fight criminals, but he still has to be interviewed. Li Zi glanced at Peter Parker who was sitting next to Ned muttering, but the other party didn't notice this side, and had been observing MJ Michelle. Do not talk. Wanda gave him a blank look, there was so much nonsense, comparable to little Spider-Man. Suddenly, she remembered something and smiled slightly. What did you mean when you gave me flowers today? Ah? What did you mean when you gave me flowers today? The corners of Wanda's slightly curved mouth resembled a crescent moon, revealing expectations. Ah? Li Zi patted his head, damn forgot about it. When I was buying flowers before, I said that inexplicably. Don't be stupid, I remember clearly. Wanda put away her smile and put on a serious face. If she denied it, she wouldn't suggest going to Doctor Strange and learning backtracking magic. Take a look back at the scene at that time. Okay, I confess. Li Zi pondered for a moment, and said simply. Confession of what? Wanda stared at him with an inexplicable sense of expectation and impulse in her heart. Actually, I accidentally saw the flower seller wearing ripped shoes, so I bought that rose and gave it to you. Li Zi racked his brains for a long time, and finally came up with this sentence. Li Zi. Wanda's eyes and brows were tightly frowned, and she seemed dissatisfied with the answer with a sullen face. Outsiders look at Scarlet Witch and think she is cold-tempered. In fact, under the cold appearance, the witch is just an ordinary woman. There are also 7 emotions and 6 desires. You're angry? Li Zi raised his eyebrows and asked the question knowingly. No, I just don't think you're honest enough. Wanda glanced away. She wouldn't admit she would be mad at something like this. Li Zi glanced around and saw that no one was paying attention, so he stared at the witch in front of him and asked, Wanda, let me ask you a question. You invited me to Venice for vacation. Relational? Wanda was stunned, and walked around to her side while talking. Don't lie, be frank and lenient. Li Zi reached out and rubbed her head and said, if you tell the truth, I will also tell the truth, everything is equal. Wanda was stunned for a moment. She didn't know how to answer the Eastern man in front of her. Looking back on her relationship during this period, it seems that since she met her, the depression in her heart has gradually dissipated, and her personality has also been infected and become optimistic. Perhaps, this is the bond of hearts, the resulting chemical reaction. And this kind of chemical reaction also made her feel very delicate about Li Zi's existence. A little bit, she seems to have to admit that she has become a little dependent on Li Zi, going to find him for dinner every day, and going for a walk together when she is in a bad mood. Really rely on him. Wanda definitely understood what it meant. She hesitated for a moment, and said with hesitation, there is a saying in your Washa, called long-term love, which means that if you get along for a long time, you will develop a good impression, and you will even become dependent in your heart. You like me? Li Zi admired the witch in front of her, with a beautiful face, as white as an elf in the forest. At this moment, she bowed her head shyly, but her clear and beautiful eyes were still alluring, and her tender red lips made people want to kiss forever. After Wanda heard it, she hesitated for a while to make sure that everyone ran to the bar to watch the TV, and then she nodded vigorously. Then she immediately explained. Actually, it's normal to like someone. I like you because you are interesting, optimistic, and funny, and you can always be by my side. Which, I didn't say it was abnormal. Seeing her reaction, Li Zi couldn't help but smile. So, does what you said before sending flowers mean? Wanda stared at him and asked. Why doesn't it count? That's what I said to an intellectual and sexy woman. Li Zi rubbed the witch's head again, her eyes full of doting. In fact, he had thought about Wanda from the beginning. But that's what men appreciate about her. Later, after getting along, his appreciation gradually changed. It was not until today in Venice that he figured out what he was thinking. Shish. At the bar, MJ Michelle blew to little Spider-Man, Peter, your Aunt Wanda has fallen. Oh, Mr. Lee is really my idol, he won the strongest Avenger, there are many things from the Witch Council. Ned opened his mouth wide, and his eyes almost burst into love. Both of their faces were full of disbelief. Stop rubbing, those kids are still here. Wanda slapped the hands on her head, feeling a little embarrassed for being an introvert. Then let's go back to our room. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, without waiting for her to answer, Li Zi grabbed her hand and ran straight upstairs, leaving only the sound of footsteps for a moment. Thank you so much, he will really win the strongest Avenger. Ned murmured stupidly to himself. I wish them happiness. Peter Parker was not surprised. Although he was a child, he had already guessed when Li Zi and Wanda appeared at the same time. The two will sooner or later, because his Aunt May and Happy are in this state. Room on the second floor. Crack, crack. The door opens. Li Zi was stopped when he was about to walk in. Li, there is something I want to tell you. Wanda behind her blushed softly. What's up? Li Zi was puzzled. Can you give me some time? I'll talk about it later, because this is my first time, I want to be more holy. Wanda's voice was like a mosquito, and her lowered head almost fell to the ground. Is this your first time? Li Zi realized that he had said the wrong thing, and immediately changed his words. I respect your choice. But it was the first time I heard of a witch. He was naturally ecstatic in his heart, but it was normal to think about it carefully. Wanda and Vision are only bonded because of mind gem, not real love, and the latter doesn't have ability at all. Since it was the first time for the witch, he would choose to respect it even more. Definitely not the first time and will. However, you have to reward me in other ways. Li Zi pulled her into the room. What aspect? No. Why should I reward you? Wanda always felt that something was wrong. This guy didn't seem to be doing anything good. Where did the reward come from? Don't ask. Men can give rewards anytime they want. Li Zi thought of the stock before time travel, and smiled slightly. Don't want. Wanda shyly refused, unlike most people who grew up in America. She was ruthless and couldn't let go of such things. Even wearing revealing clothes feels weird and uncomfortable. Wanda. Li Zi looked at Wanda with her head down. How could she not have noticed that witches are so shy when they get along with each other before? However, when he was about to reach out, sudden whoosh. The witch who had been standing there suddenly raised her head, her eyes were glowing scarlet, and the temperature around her seemed to drop suddenly. Before Li Zi could react. Next second, she turned into an afterimage and passed Li Zi, coming behind her. Boom. What are you up to? Wanda's cold voice came from behind, completely different from the voice just now. What happened to Wanda? Li Zi was puzzled, turned around and saw a person pinched by Wanda's hand. It turned out to be Nick Fury, who had disappeared for a long time. And beside him dropped a tranquilizer gun. Cough cough cough. Struggling. Nick Fury struggled to explain. Wanda's sorry. I didn't mean to hurt him, I just wanted him to sleep. As a super agent, he is very confused. Because there is an urgent task to find Wanda, and worried about being discovered by outsiders, he planned to let Li Zi sleep, but he was caught in the blink of an eye. You'd better be careful next time. At the moment Wanda's eyes were extremely cold, and the temperature all over her body plummeted. Wanda let him go. Li Zi was surprised that Wanda lost control of his emotions, and he didn't want Wanda to accidentally kill someone, so he said hastily. Boom. Wanda was very obedient, and realized that she was a little out of control, and immediately let go of Nick Fury. She panted heavily, and explained with reddish eyes, Lee, I'm sorry for losing my composure just now. I didn't know what happened just now, but when she saw Nick Fury pointing a gun at Li Zi, her heart suddenly tightened, and she subconsciously shot. Maybe it's the fear of losing someone close to me, and it's the only one. It's okay, he should be lucky to have survived under the hands of the strongest Avenger. Li Zi rubbed Wanda's head, then looked at Nick Fury, who was a little embarrassed on the sofa. He remembers the current Nick Fury, not the real Nick Fury. But the Skrulls have changed. The real Nick Fury is in outer space, probably lying on a chair for vacation at the moment. You are calm. Nick Fury met his gaze, and his years of intuition immediately allowed him to see those deep eyes, revealing a different indifference from ordinary people. If an ordinary person saw him, he would feel more or less oppressed. This guy seemed so calm. Has a problem. Fury, Li Zi doesn't know you. Wanda heard the sound, and protected Li Zi behind her, staring at the one-eyed black man vigilantly like a kitten protecting food. Sorry, I lost my temper. Nick Fury was taken aback when he saw this. It was the first time he saw Wanda protecting others like this, and it was a man. Except Vision, that guy is not human. But he didn't have time now, so he hurriedly stated the purpose of his trip. Wanda, I'm here to ask for your help, I need a superhero. I don't want to participate in any more missions, you can find someone else. Wanda shook her head decisively. The most recent mission was the one in Germany before the extinction. And that mission is still impressive, she missed and killed countless people. Wanda, I used to cover the sky with only one hand and know everything on the global intelligence network, but 5 years later, the intelligence network that I once established fell apart, and my eyes and ears were closed. I need your help, the help of a top superhero. Nick Fury said with a serious expression. Li Zi next to him didn't interrupt, nor would he dissuade Wanda. Instead choose to respect her choice. I can't do it. The super ability organization that emerged today, aren't they also dealing with a new crisis? Wanda still shook her head and refused. Li Zi, who was sitting on the chair, coughed lightly. Why he kept mentioning him for nothing. It is currently impossible to determine their camp, and they may be organizations from other universes, or they may pose a threat to this universe. Nick Fury said in a deep voice. After the Black Shadow Troll group appeared today, he immediately investigated all the cameras, hoping to find clues. But the Black Shadow Troll group appeared and disappeared completely out of thin air. He couldn't find any traces, and with the mysterious guest as a multi-universe visitor, he temporarily judged the Black Shadow Troll group as a multi-universe visitor. But they knocked down the Water Titan in a few hits. A joke flashed in Li Zi's eyes, and he joked. That's not a Water Titan, it's a group of water elements. In addition, without the offensive in front of the mysterious guest, the Black Shadow Troll can't do it at all. Boy, I told you, but you didn't understand. Nick Fury was a little speechless when he heard what an ordinary person said, and answered from a professional perspective. After seeing the strength of the mysterious guest, he is more willing to believe that the mysterious guest severely injured the water elemental crowd, which contributed to the end of the Black Shadow Troll. Afterwards, Nick ignored Li Zi, an ordinary person, and looked at Wanda and said in a deep voice, Wanda, listen to me. What happened this time threatened the world. Tony Stark, the Iron Man who deserves the respect of countless people, he snapped his fingers. It is not to let the world experience another devastation, but to protect him well. The previous words had no effect, so I had to move out the dead Tony. Apparently it worked. Wanda recalled the comrades who died in the war, and after a moment of silence, she nodded. Okay, you can send the mission information to my mailbox. Thank you, Wanda. Nick Fury breathed a sigh of relief. The strength of the elemental crowd is strong. With Scarlet Witch on board, everything would be a lot easier. So I witnessed the secret meeting of the two Avengers. Am I considered to be half an Avenger? Lee Z was not surprised by the result. But before coming here, he thought it was just a simple trip to Venice. In the end, he was able to return to Westview Town, but now he encountered a mysterious guest incident. Then he will have fun with the mystery guest. Well, you can be regarded as half an Avenger, because the Avenger has a condition that the race must be human, and you are lucky to have one of them. You too. I will arrange a new trip tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Having completed the purpose of this trip, Nick Fury didn't want to stay for a long time, so he got up and shook off his cloak, walked to the window, and pulled down the window forcefully. Didn't tear it apart. Twice are not torn apart. This window. Nick Fury found the window stuck. Crack. Crack. Boom. At this time, a hand suddenly opened the window, and the iron bar that was stuck on the window suddenly broke. Turning around to see Lee Z with a smile on the corner of his mouth, he said to him, "Don't be surprised, you have pulled it a few times before, so that I can pull it away so easily." Ahem. Cough, that's exactly the truth. Nick Fury was slightly embarrassed, jumped out of the window, and crawled along the side to the little Spider-Man's room next door. Boom. Aren't you worried? After closing the window, Wanda wondered. Worry about what? Lee Z pulled her to sit on the sofa and asked back. The new doomsday. Wanda recalled. I perceived Nick Fury's emotions. He was very nervous and worried. This crisis is probably not small. With you, don't worry too much. Lee, where are your hands touching? Ah. You said you would reward me. Don't worry, I won't cross the line. Actually, there are other places that can be used. Wanda. Omitted here. However, when Lee Z and Wanda were in Venice, they had a sweet trip. Far away in Westview, America. In front of the TV. Agatha sat on the chair with a livid face, watching the content presented on the screen. Especially when seeing the figure of the Black Shadow Troll. Her face became more gloomy. She stroked the rabbit in her arms, and said coldly, Mr. Strachey, it seems that you guessed correctly. It seems that we may go to Venice. We must not let this guy get ahead. Night fell. The deep space shrouded in darkness is full of stars, and the water city of Venice has gradually fallen into tranquility, with the rustling sound of the sea breeze blowing. At the same time, somewhere in a dank basement. Take off the hood, everyone here knows your true face. It's useless to pretend to be mysterious. Breathing through a layer of chemical fiber cloth is thankless. Nick Fury walks through the dark passage, leading little Spider-Man into the makeshift underground base. Have you looked for Wanda? Peter Parker took off his hood, remembering that Wanda was here when Fury came to him for help. There is a top superhero living next door. What else do you need to do with him? She should be having a tryst with her little boyfriend now, but she has agreed to join our operation. This is Mitty Try, and this is Maria Hill. Nick Fury walked in front and introduced two agents one after another, a big man holding a gun, and his right-hand man, Agent Hill. The last one is Mr. Baker. Finally Nick Fury points to a man wearing a cape battlesuit. Mystery guest. Peter Parker naturally recognized that the person in front of him was the mysterious person who fought against the water elementals today, but he didn't expect him to be with Nick Fury. What? Quentin the mysterious man was stunned. It's nothing, that's the nickname my friend gave you. Peter Parker was a little nervous, and casually mentioned in order to ease his emotions, you know, they all like to nickname superheroes, like those big guys are called the Black Shadow Trolls. Netizens now feel that the Black Shadow Troll will become the new Green Titan. Hear this. Quentin clenched his hands under the table, the gloom in his eyes was fleeting, and a smile appeared on his face, not a bad name. Fury, are the Black Shadow Trolls also ours? If they are here, I think everything will be much easier. Peter Parker was too innocent, didn't see anything unusual, and said to himself. No. Quentin spoke first, with a slightly gloomy tone, Peter, everything depends on us, don't count on others. It's the Shadow Troll again. He has heard this name countless times since last night. Although some people mentioned the mysterious guest, there were only a few of them. Damn, originally all the glory belonged to him alone. In the end, a wedding dress was made for the unknown Joker of the Black Shadow Trolls. If you expect other people to be useful, my world will not be destroyed. But he couldn't show it. On the surface, there was depression between his brows, and he spoke slowly. What, you said your world? Peter Parker keenly grasped the key points, and said with a puzzled expression. Mr. Baker is also an Earthling, but he is from his 663 universe. Nick Fury paused, and continued. It's just that his universe was destroyed by the elements, and he was forced to escape here through the crack, and what you saw today is the elements. There were 4 of them, and now 2 have been wiped out, and there are 2 more. Their existence is enough to destroy the world, which is why I ask you to participate in the mission. After hearing this, Peter Parker felt dizzy and had a bitter face. I don't want to participate in any action, I just want to have a good summer vacation, and Wanda will help you. Speaking of Wanda, there is one thing I need your help with. Tomorrow you will be in the same car, heading to Prague together. At that time, help me pay attention to a person, Lee Z. Nick Fury thought of that unusually calm Oriental man, and he always felt something was wrong in his heart. That is derived from the sixth sense brought about by years of agent career. No, I refuse. Wanda cares about Mr. Lee very much. They just held hands today. I refuse to do this kind of thing, and I have to go back. Peter Parker was decisive, turned around and walked back. Passing by Quentin, he said apologetically, sorry, I can't go to Prague with you. It doesn't matter. Quentin patted him on the shoulder, watched him leave before looking away. Fury, what now? Hill worried. Don't worry, he will go to Prague obediently tomorrow. Nick Fury wasn't worried at all. He leaned back on the chair and closed his eyes to meditate. As if everything is under control, and Quentin said he had to leave in advance. Next morning. Hotel entrance. A black minivan was parked on the side of the road. The students came out one after another, and were stunned when they saw the buses at the door, because the design of these 2 buses seemed too avant-garde. It's a bit like a transport van for escorting prisoners. Wanda, it seems that black marinated eggs are quite innovative. Lee Z looked at the shape of the bus and joked. Black marinated eggs. Wanda was startled, and realized who it was. Nick Fury, don't you think he looks alike? Lee Z reminded with a smile. Oh, you'd better not say that, his temper is actually not very good. After Wanda finished speaking, she felt that it was inappropriate, and added in a low voice. Because he often said that F*K. Then he must be F*King Falkexia. Lee Z thought of Nick Fury's nickname in his previous life. Haha, Lee, you are so funny, but he may not like this nickname even more. Wanda listened, the corners of her mouth curled up into a smile that couldn't be suppressed. At this time, in the hotel, Mr. Linton, who accompanied Peter's school, strode out. His face was full of joy. He held up the documents in his hands and shouted, Everyone, we are going to Prague. What? Peter Parker, who was whispering to Ned, was suddenly dumbfounded. Yes, we got lucky. The travel agency just called and we upgraded to Prague. Ha! Teacher Linton said loudly, it's over. Peter Parker is stupid. What's wrong? Ned wondered. Our vacation might be hijacked by Nick Fury. Peter Parker has never been loveless in his life. Nick Fury said before that the mission location is Prague, and Wanda and Lee Z are also going to Prague. He thought he could escape this time. As a result, he underestimated the strongest agent in the world. Even after Shuo Mu came back 5 years later, he could still easily control the affairs of most ordinary people. Changing the destination of a tour group is just a piece of cake. The deep sky is as pure as a lake, the blue sky is like washing, and it is boundless. A road runs through the forest among the dense forests. Looking at the modern village at the bottom of the mountain, the European-style house structure is like a scene in a fairy tale. Another enjoyable trip. Lee Z sat by the window, stretched out and leaned on the chair, admiring the beautiful scenery along the way. Aren't you happy every day? Seeing his contented expression, Wanda smiled. Happiness is also graded, not to mention it's different now. As Lee Z said, he turned his head and looked over, his eyes softened a lot. Wanda met his gaze, and naturally knew what this guy was referring to. Is it really that good? Liking and being liked is a beautiful thing. Lee Z touched her little hand and nodded. Ahem. Peter Parker, who was sitting behind, coughed lightly, and looked away. Lying down can be force-fed a lot of dog food. Then he picked up a pair of translucent sunglasses and put them on, only to see that his good brother Ned not far from next door was exchanging messages with his little girlfriend on the mobile phone to talk about love. Cough cough cough. I agreed on the Nordic Bachelor program, but now the people around me are basically in pairs. Peter, do you have a cold? Wanda noticed that he kept coughing, so she asked concerned. In these 2 days of contact, she quite likes little Spider-Man. At least he is a rare pure boy in the Avengers, unlike others who are all wily and calculating. No, I'm just a little motion sick. Peter hastened to defend himself. Wanda, he is in good health. Young people don't get sick easily, let alone a young man like him. There was something in Li Zi's words, and when he turned his head, he also noticed little Spider-Man's pair of sunglasses. The shade is Edith, a super artificial intelligence who controls several Avenger satellites under the Stark Corporation. As well as a powerful network system, it can almost invade any network that is not a state agency. The glasses were given by Nick Fury, and its real owner is the deceased Tony Stark. He said a word, wearing a crown, must bear its weight. Take up the responsibility and carry on the mantle of Iron Man. Apparently, he overestimated little Spider-Man a bit. Mr. Lee is right, I am in better health than the average person. Peter Parker had a simple mind, with an awkward smile on his immature face. However, he also looked at the Oriental man in front of him again, remembering what Nick Fury said yesterday, and asked himself to pay more attention to Li Zi. Peter Parker, what are you thinking? You're only going to break Wanda's heart. Peter thought about it and shook his head immediately. For a long time, it was rare for Wanda to have someone who cared. He couldn't do that, as it would destroy the relationship between the two. At that time, wouldn't he become the chief culprit, a sinner? So Peter put Nick Fury's words behind him. And Li Zi in front frowned slightly, because he felt that little Spider-Man's mood swings were very strange. Are all adolescent children in America like this? A moment of entanglement, a moment of shame, but he didn't care too much. If he trusted Wanda the most in the Avengers organization, then the second person must be little Spider-Man Peter. This kid has a simple mind, otherwise, how could he be brushed around by the mysterious guest? After all, I have never been beaten by society. For the rest of the journey, except for the fact that Peter Parker used Edith to almost cause the vehicle to roll over, the rest of the time was calm and the journey was safe. Definitely only Li Zi and Wanda know about this matter. It also made Wanda a little angry. If the driver hadn't been good at driving, the bus would have rolled down the mountainside long ago. As night fell, the bus finally drove into the bustling city of Prague, where countless people sang and celebrated the festival on the bustling streets. The bus brought everyone to the hotel. The resplendent hotel lobby and the dazzling ceiling lights made countless people exclaim. "Oh Peter, it's so cool here. The super agent is awesome." Ned couldn't help exclaiming. "That's not a good thing." Peter Parker looked distressed, half of his plans were disrupted. But it's all over here. He could only obey and follow his classmates to listen to the teacher's arrangement. It's just that there is a high probability that it is Nick Fury's handwriting. The other side. The black stewed egg is still a bit sincere. Li Zi looked around the hotel environment. Sure enough, a super agent is absolutely greedy. Even if he is away for 5 years, he can do things that countless people can't do in a lifetime with just the financial resources in his hands. Actually, I don't have much affection for him either. Wanda thinks that Nick Fury is a man with a very deep city, and like Hydra, he does not compromise the means to achieve the goal. But a lot of the time it's about the world. No, I think he's not bad now, and Black Braised Egg has prepared a double room for us. Li Zi checked the information on the app and found that the single room was upgraded to a double room. Wanda rolled his eyes at him speechlessly. "I really want to pry your head open and see what you're thinking." "No, I'm afraid you can't help it." Li Zi looked a little ambiguous. "I want to know what is going on in the mind of a man facing a sexy woman or a woman he cares about. All I can say is that it was exciting, at this time." Peter Parker walked over quietly and whispered like a thief. "Wanda, Fury asked me to inform you that we have to gather for a meeting later, and the time is tight." "No problem." Knowing that her expression was serious, Wanda didn't think about delaying it, so she turned her head and kissed Li Zi, and then said softly, "Li, you go back first. Listen to me obediently and don't go out at night. I will take care of everything." Li Zi was stunned for a moment. The softness of the lips just now was reminiscent of the beautiful figure in front of her, and she was already walking out of the hotel. "Come on, Wanda." Moment. He came to the hotel room. After putting all the luggage away and creating the illusion that someone is taking a shower in the bathroom. With a wave of his hand, he changed into a set of Chinese ancient chivalrous clothes. How can it be possible to stay in the room obediently? It's so boring. A mask conjured up in Li Zi's hand, and he put it on slowly. Coming to the Marvel Universe to lie flat for months is just plain boring. Now it's hard to come to a mystery guest to play. How could he easily let go of his playful nature? Mystery. Let me borrow your script this time to make my shadow group famous all over the world. The words fell. Li Zi's figure merged with a shadow behind him and disappeared into the room. If it weren't for the clothes and luggage on the bed, it would have been as if no one had ever been in the room. A hidden warehouse outside of Bagheera. Inside the warehouse, numerous drones hovered in midair, and from time to time, they mapped a piece of realistic flame image, which made people feel like they were there. Hum. Boom. As more drones were activated, a huge amounts of fire elemental monster appeared, wantonly destroying surrounding buildings. Guys, no equipment went wrong tonight, no shadow troll group. Tonight is laying the groundwork for the final scene. The mysterious guest Quentin stood under the drone, with a serious expression on his brows, and his sharp eyes swept over everyone, to pave the way for a brand new savior to be born into the world soon. So there must be absolutely no mistakes. The last time he fought against the water elemental crowd was originally a superhero drama prepared for him alone. The result was interrupted by the sudden appearance of the Black Shadow Troll group. Today's plan must be successful no matter what. Otherwise, his lies would stop there. Quentin, but Scarlet Witch is here too, and her ability is real magic. Wilhelm, who is in charge of the background data of the drone, reminded. Damn it, as long as the Hellfire elementals are taken offline before Scarlet Witch arrives, there won't be any problems. The mysterious guest Quentin frowned. The appearance of Scarlet Witch was completely unexpected. After all, he investigated all the information of the Avengers before, and knew where everyone was, in order not to have any accidents. It turned out that the day before the plan, Scarlet Witch actually bought a Venice package at a travel agency. Well, we'll do our best to find a way to stop Scarlet Witch from going to the scene. Wilhelm nodded. Okay everyone, a good show is about to debut, get ready to watch it. The mysterious guest Quentin opened his hands, and the drone around him reflected a layer of light on his body. Hum. In the blink of an eye, the light covered a brand new battlesuit. With the battlesuit completely covered, a cloud of dark green mist wrapped around his body, and Quentin Baker's figure was completely swallowed in the next second. At the moment, the playground in Bagheera is brightly lit. This ancient European city is holding a grand festival of lights. Some people think that the Festival of Lights is the biggest party in the world, where countless people gather in entertainment venues for carnival. The square is crowded with people, and countless people gather here to feel the festive atmosphere. Whoosh. On the roof of the house, a figure as flexible as a spider flitted past, and landed steadily on the top of the tower, overlooking the scene below. Peter? Are you there yet? Don't tell me you haven't left yet. Under the mask, Peter listened to Nick Fury's nagging, and replied with some helplessness. I've arrived, but I haven't found anything unusual so far. His task tonight is to detect the enemy's situation, because the exact location of the enemy's appearance is not yet known. Boom. Just as Peter was investigating the situation, a figure suddenly fell beside him. Hey, who are you? The young little Spider-Man was startled, and hurriedly backed away. With the help of the light below, he could see the person in front of him clearly. It is a man dressed in oriental retro black clothes. He wears a mask with gold patterns, and his deep and majestic eyes are full of mystery. It was Li Zi who came, and he said slowly, "Don't be nervous, I won't hurt you." Peter, is there someone next to you? A puzzled voice came from Peter Parker's ear. He paused and replied, well, but I don't know him. No, you know me, Black Shadow Troll Group. Li Zi is too lazy to beat around the bush. Anyway, the netizen outside has already given him a new vest, so he doesn't recommend using it. What? You are from the Black Shadow Trolls. When Peter Parker heard the words, his eyes lit up and he immediately leaned over. He is no stranger to the Black Shadow Troll Group. Those big guys just eliminated the Water Elemental Group yesterday. To be precise, I am the leader of the Black Shadow Troll Group, and I am here today to deal with the Hellfire Elemental crowd. Li Zi said slowly. Originally Little Spider-Man and Nick Fury didn't believe that Li Zi was a member of the Black Shadow Trolls, but when they heard about the Hellfire Elemental Queen, they believed it. Because the matter about the elements was not spread because the time was too short. Only a few people in the world know about it. Other than that, the only one who could know was the Black Shadow Troll Group. Their actions yesterday were obviously aimed at the Water Elemental crowd. With you here, it will be very easy to deal with the Hellfire Elementals. Peter Parker witnessed the powerful strength of the Black Shadow Troll Group, and those big guys could even tear apart the Water Elemental Group. Not to mention, their boss. The strength is definitely not weak. I do my best. Under the mask, Li Zi smiled speechlessly. The little Spider-Man is too innocent, too easy to trust others. A word or two will convince him. No wonder he was played around by Lao Yinbi mystery guest. Kai. When the two communicated. Not far from the playground square, a statue stands above the fountain. Suddenly, the whole body of the statue began to turn red, and the high temperature emitted caused the surrounding air to condense water vapor visible to the naked eye. Coo coo coo. Accompanied by bursts of grunts, the water in the fountain pool gradually boiled, and hot water splashed out. There's something wrong with the statue. The statue is getting hot. Tourists passing by naturally noticed the changes in the statue, and the temperature in the surrounding air climbed, making people sweat on their foreheads. Eerie vibe. Let many people back to the rear, with a look of fear on their faces. Next second. Boom. I saw the red and hot statue suddenly burst open, and the endless flames shone for a moment, and hot magma spewed from it. Cracks were visible to the naked eye on the floor, and magma flowed out of the torn hole. Roar. A huge lava titan that looks like a Serta rises from the ground, and the moment it appears, the air temperature rises sharply. Under the influence of high temperature, countless light bulbs around them shattered and burst one after another. Bang bang bang. Gift crab, the Hellfire Elementals are here. Peter Parker hurriedly pressed the Bluetooth headset. Mystery, the Hellfire Elementals have appeared. Coming. In the sky, a green mist that covered the sky swept up. In an instant, a figure broke through the fog and descended from the sky, punching huge amounts of lava titan on the head. Huge amounts of impact caused the lava titan to roll over, destroying several buildings. Peter Parker, help me evacuate people. Under the illusion. The mysterious Quentin did not fly in the air to fight against the Hellfire Elementals. Instead, wearing a device helmet, stood on the ground and looked around, searching for little Spider-Man. Then he noticed a strange figure. His expression changed slightly and he asked, Peter, who is that person? He is the boss of the Black Shadow Troll Group. With his help, we will be more relaxed. He is the boss of the Black Shadow Troll Group. With his help, we will be more relaxed. Little Spider-Man Peter was afraid that the mysterious guest would not hear him, so he shouted loudly. Don't worry, you two, Sombra, won't let the elements go unnoticed. Seeing this, Li Zi also yelled. Shadow. It was a code name he thought of on the spur of the moment, and it just fits with the Shadow Core and the image style of the organization. Damn, it's the Black Shadow Troll Group again. In the illusion. The mysterious guest's face was ashen, and he gritted his teeth angrily, and the veins on his forehead popped out. I thought it was just an accidental coincidence that the Black Shadow Troll Group appeared to destroy my plan. However, I didn't expect to run into a member of the Black Shadow Troll Group again. Does it mean his plans were leaked? For a while, the mystery guest panicked. He was worried that things would be revealed and all previous efforts would be in vain. At the same time, boom. At the scene, the lava titan, which was projected by countless drones, shot up into the sky with a big hand and swallowed up all the surrounding metal substances. Quentin, now is not the time to be in a daze. Hurry up and find a way to get the Hellfire elements offline. A reminder from his companion sounded in the ear of the mysterious guest, bringing him back to reality. So he hurriedly manipulated the drone to create the scene of a big battle. I saw, in the huge playground. After the huge lava titan devoured the metal substance, its body began to grow constantly, and the temperature it radiated also gradually increased. In the surrounding air, there is a billowing heat wave. The bright flames from its body light up the dark playground before. Like a meteorite falling in the night. You too, don't watch since you're here, and help me lead the Hellfire Elementals into an open place. Otherwise it will devour all metal around it. In the eyes of outsiders. The mysterious guest stepped on the green mist and walked in the sky, turned his head and shouted at the two of them. Just finished. Boom. The lava titan stepped on the floor, and the Earth's crust trembled instantly, bursting into countless cracks. The impact force brought by the movement of the Earth's crust directly caused the thick floor to rise into the sky along with the hot magma. The affected houses were instantly surrounded by a sea of flames. Oh thanks, Nick, where's Wanda? We need her help. Peter Parker was startled when he saw this. Hastily jumped up, swinging his body in front of the lava titan. The high temperature made him gasp for breath. Whoosh. Boom. Fortunately, the lava titan noticed him and chased after him with big strides, dancing with his incomparably huge fists, wishing to hammer the weak figure in midair to death. Night Monkey Man, be careful, let me help you. Li Zi stood up from the ground and flew towards the direction of the hellfire elements. The hands exude a faint white light, which is eye-catching. Hey! Sombra, don't get close to it. This guy is very angry now. Just take it to an open area. When the mysterious guest saw the menacing man in black high in the sky, he panicked for a moment. After all, that is not the real hellfire elemental crowd. Just a bunch of drones. Just rushing up like this, I am afraid that the drone will be smashed. At this time, Wilhelm's voice came from his ear. Quentin, I have prepared a flame bomb. I'm worried that something will happen. He seems to know our plan. The mysterious guest looked worried. He was a little uncertain about the mind of the Black Shadow Troll group, whether the other party really knew about his plan. Now that you know it, why not expose it directly? Thinking about it, he decisively called out the drone's flame bomb. Automatically lock on to Li Zi flying in. Boom. A flame bomb with bright flames flew straight in the direction of Li Zi. In the eyes of outsiders, it was just a huge amount of flame ball. Shadow beware. Little Spider-Man yelled loudly. Really? Li Zi frowned slightly in surprise. It seemed that the mystery guest had already begun to doubt himself. Otherwise, they would not directly use flame bombs to test. But obviously, he underestimated the opponent. When the flame bomb was about to touch the figure in midair, a huge frozen wall emerged, and the cold air was overwhelming, blocking the fireball abruptly. Boom. The moment the fireball touched the frozen wall, the burst of airwaves frantically raged around, making bursts of neighing. Countless debris and wreckage on the ground splashed into the sky. This guy. The mysterious guest blocked the raging wind with difficulty, swallowed, and his handsome face moved. This time he really panicked, because the other party is a real magician. Freezing is also real freezing, not special effects projection. It was only a matter of time before a magician saw that there was something wrong with the hellfire elementals. Unexpectedly, she racked her brains with great difficulty to lure Scarlet Witch away. Now there is another one. At the same time. The other side of the city, in a dark alley. No one. Wanda looked around at the dark and humid environment, her brows revealed seriousness. Half a minute ago, when the hellfire elemental crowd appeared. As soon as she was notified by Nick Fury, she saw something like a ghost appearing on the street corner. Previously, when she was looking for Doctor Strange in New York City, she had seen illustrations in books of Ghost, an ancient and murderous embodiment of evil that likes to suck people's souls. So she followed Ghost first, and didn't go to deal with the hellfire elementals immediately. But now I followed the alley and found that there was nothing there, only a few trash cans, and rats scurrying into the sewer. What happened? Wanda, who originally planned to continue walking in, suddenly constricted her pupils, and suddenly raised her head to look in the direction of the flames. Someone over there has a mysterious attraction to her. It's a breath of magic. That magic breath just resonated with the origin magic power in her body. The two are inseparable. Who is it? Feeling the strong magical atmosphere, Wanda resolutely gave up chasing Ghost. The whole person soared into the air and flew towards the direction of the hellfire elements. Moment. A figure appeared at the corner of the street. He lowered his head and said in a deep voice, Quentin, Scarlet Witch is heading to your side. Prague Playground. The lava titan made up of hellfire elements. The monstrous fire that radiates from its body is becoming more and more vigorous, and the soaring flames shroud the dim urban area. The high temperature distorted the air, and the billowing heat wave raged and churned. However, it is in such an extreme high-temperature environment. But there is a 10-meter-long frozen wall standing in the center, and the substantive cold gradually engulfs the heat wave. Shit. Mysterious guest Quentin's scalp tingled for a while. There was a super magician at the scene, and Scarlet Witch was on his way. He angrily kicked away the stones beside his feet. The plan fell through again. The Hellfire Elemental crowd is the last elemental crowd written in his previous script. Originally, according to the script and plan, if he solved it by himself, his popularity would also push to the top. At that time, execute the last script. He will become a brand new superhero, the successor of Iron Man. Now it's clearly going to fail. Quentin, don't worry. The script in London will still make Mysterio go down in history. The mysterious guest Quentin heard Wilhelm's prompt in his ear. Mum Wilhelm, get the Hellfire Elementals offline. Mysterio knows that this is the only way things can go now, and he won't be able to leave when Wanda comes. After all, Wanda has a very strong telepathy ability. No matter how strong the technology of Stark Industries is, it cannot escape her perception. As soon as his voice fell. Boom. I saw that the huge lava titan suddenly roared to the sky, and its opened mouth formed a vortex, constantly absorbing the surrounding substances. The sand grains on the ground trembled violently and flew up, and metal fragments were also involved. Mystery. It has changed again. Little Spider-Man Peter swung around and found that the Hellfire elementals hadn't kept up. When he turned his head, he was pulled by the head on suction force, and the cobweb wrapped around the wall collapsed. I'm going to fall. He was so frightened that his expression became tense, and he quickly threw out the cobweb, and the cobweb seemed to be glued with an invisible object. But he didn't have time to notice. The cobweb collapsed again, and his whole body fell to the ground. After the lava titan absorbed countless substances, the fire emanating from its body has gradually threatened the surrounding environment, and the grass on the roadside ignited a raging fire. Sombra. Use your ice ability to deal with it. Your ability just restrains it. High in the sky, the mysterious guest shouted with difficulty against the flames. No problem, you two stay away. Li Zi lamented that Mysterio is really a qualified actor. Even at this point, he can still act calmly in times of crisis. It's no wonder that he has been working hard in Tony's company for many years, and only now has he begun to reveal his ambition. Thinking about it, his hands glowed white. The original frozen wall turned into water and spewed out suddenly, like an ancient water dragon, entangled the lava titan across the sky. Next second, the water dragon splits and turns into a water polo, completely devouring the lava titan. Whoosh! Just for a split second, the lava titan disappears. Huh? Fly away? Through the projection illusion, Li Zi saw several drones flying out of the city taking advantage of the gap. It seemed that Mysterio was really afraid of being exposed, so he almost removed all the drones at once. Only a few planes were left circling around. It's over? Peter Parker got up from the ground and found that the playground had become dark again, and the previous lava titan had disappeared. All that was left was a mess. The slate bricks were scorched black. There was a pungent smell in the air. It's over, your friend helped us. The mysterious guest landed slowly, took off his helmet and said with a complicated expression. Although he felt that he might have been exposed, but the play had to be a full set, so he didn't leave directly. The elements of Hellfire are all the same, and they don't seem to be strong. After a while, Li Zi also fell from the sky, patting away the dust that didn't exist on his body, and said in an understatement. No, Sombra is because you are too powerful. You solved the crisis from the multi-universe with just one move. Don't be surprised. I was also surprised by the multi-universe at first, but this is indeed real. As soon as little Spider-Man meets someone he can talk to, he will automatically trigger the chatterbox mode, and he can't stop talking when he is angry. The main reason is that Li Zi is too strong. He can easily deal with the Hellfire elementals that Mysterio is difficult to deal with by himself. And the whole thing is, to put it mildly, way too cool for a high school kid. Stop, you talk too much. Li Zi hurriedly told him to shut up, then looked at the nervous mysterious guest next to him, and said with a smile, are you nervous? No. The mystery guest just spoke. Standing opposite, Li Zi stretched out his hand, patted him on the shoulder like an elder, and said in an affirmative tone, don't be nervous, I know I'm strong, and the Black Shadow Troll is a popular superhero now, but you also not bad. Thanks for the recognition. When the mysterious guest said this, he almost gritted his teeth. I can't wait to bite my teeth into pieces. Because of the Black Shadow Troll group, the popular superhero, and the savior superhero who defeated the elements. It should have been his mystery guest. As a result, all the other people have been fulfilled now, and the person who was fulfilled is still standing in front of him, showing off his might, pretending to be unpredictable. But at this moment, Wilhelm's words brought him back to his senses. Quentin, he didn't expose you, and he didn't seem to find any problems. These words brought the mysterious guest back to his senses, as if it was true. He doesn't seem to be exposed. Whoosh. While thinking about it. Horizon. Under the moonlight, a beautiful figure emerged. She was wearing a scarlet windbreaker, and her cold white skin looked as white as jade under the moonlight. Like a queen in the frozen age, but those glowing red pupils are like a sexy medieval witch. It's Wanda. Peter Parker raised his head and noticed Qianying, and was pleasantly surprised. Li Zi looked at the beautiful figure in the sky, and took a deep breath. Why didn't he realize that Wanda under the moonlight is so beautiful that it's breathtaking? Whoosh. In the next second, Wanda had already fallen from the sky and landed gracefully in front of everyone, with her beautiful eyes glowing scarlet and extremely charming. Li Zi, the man in black among the three, was immediately locked. Who are you? Who are you? The moonlight shines on Wanda's face like a tool, but it can't hide the doubt revealed between her brows. He is Sombra, the leader of the Sombra troll group yesterday, you know. They are also dealing with the elementals, so he also appeared in Prague, and subdued the Hellfire elementals with only 2 moves. Peter Parker opened the blindfold on the headgear, and saw that it was an acquaintance who automatically triggered the chattering mode. The speed of speech was so fast that he spit out a long paragraph in a few seconds. Peter, stop. I'm a little dizzy from what you're talking about. Lee Z patted little Spider-Man on the shoulder, then politely extended his hand to Wanda. Hi, my name is Sombra. Hi, I'm Wanda, Scarlet Witch. Wanda responded politely, but at the moment of shaking hands, she always felt that the two seemed to know each other. But she was sure that she had never seen anyone from the Black Shadow group. Moreover, the magic breath she had just perceived made her feel very subtle. Scarlet Witch, I know you are the strongest Avenger, seeing is believing. Lee Z responded calmly. He wasn't worried that Wanda's telepathy ability would discover his true identity, even if the two had been together for so long. Perhaps Wanda, who is a telepathy, has had some kind of connection with him. But his magic attainments are not weak, and it is more than enough to resist Wanda's telepathy. Thank you for the compliment, and thank you for helping us defeat the Hellfire Elementalists. I'm sorry for what happened just now. I should have arrived earlier. Wanda heard the strongest Avenger and thought of Lee Z, so she couldn't help but want to go back quickly. I don't know what he is doing in the hotel. At this moment, several black subs rushed over, and a one-eyed black man with a bald head got out of the front car. He strode forward and said slowly, Wanda, you don't have to blame yourself, Ghost is also a threat. As he spoke, his eyes fell on Lee Z. Sir, thank you for everything you have done. You stopped the disaster in time. What our world lacks most now is talents like you, unlike some people who just want to escape. Peter Parker on the side stepped back. He knew in his heart that these words were alluding to himself. I think about going to play during the holidays all day long, and don't take the superhero missions to heart at all. But that's the truth, he just wants to live the life of an ordinary person. You're welcome, it's a little effort, Lee Z said modestly. No, your strength is obvious to all. I sincerely hope to join S.H.I.E.L.D., and we will work together to protect the fragile world. Nick Fury had a smile on his lips. Forget it. Lee Z was speechless. The black stewed egg was really an old fox, and he said for a long time that this was what he wanted to say the most. Say what you say to join S.H.I.E.L.D. In other words, it is actually joining S.H.I.E.L.D. so that it can be monitored. Sir, I very much hope that you can seriously consider it, and we can maintain a cooperative relationship. Seeing this, Nick Fury wanted to continue to dissuade him. Fury, S.H.I.E.L.D. has been in decline for 5 years, and it can't even compare to the Heavenly Sword game, so don't mention this matter again. Lee Z was a little impatient and interrupted him directly. Director Nick Fury, in fact, just wants to better maintain the world. The mysterious guest, who was left alone for a long time and ignored by no one, had an extremely gloomy handsome face. Because, all the treatment should be his. He is the one who deserves the most attention. But now everyone is turning around the shadow. And he was like air, no one took the initiative to say a word to him during the whole process. Sorry, it's late, it's time to go to bed, the early bird gets the worm the next day. Lee Z glanced at the non-existent watch and snapped his fingers, goodbye, everyone. The words fell. Whoosh. Before the others could react, his whole body turned into a cloud of white mist, and when the white mist dissipated, the figure had already disappeared. Cool. Peter Parker stepped forward and stepped on it. There was nothing there, his eyes filled with amazement. A true magician. The mysterious guest Quentin also had to admit that he was jealous. At this time, Wilhelm's voice sounded again. Quentin, he didn't expose you in front of Nick Fury. It seems that he didn't know the truth. Bring Peter Parker to the bar, and the plan can continue. Quentin took a deep breath and looked at Peter pretending to be tired. Peter, are you interested in having a drink? I have something I want to talk to you about. Well, but I'm underage, so I can only drink juice. Peter Parker did not refuse, mainly because he felt that Mysterio was also a good teacher and helpful friend, a real superhero. To avenge his own universe, he is willing to give everything. Seeing that everyone was leaving, Wanda turned around and prepared to leave. It's so late, I don't know if Lee Z is asleep. Wanda, do you see the problem with Sombra? Seeing this, Nick Fury hurried over. He is a super agent. The most cautious person in the world naturally cannot trust anyone easily. He has no evil intentions, what else do you have? Wanda frowned slightly, a little impatient. She has to go back to accompany Li Zi. There is one thing that needs your participation. There will be a meeting in Germany in 2 days. I hope you can participate. You are the only Avenger who can participate now. Nick Fury said slowly. Fury, I said I'd help you deal with the elementals, for the last time. Wanda shook her head. I swear, the meeting in Germany will also be the last time you will attend the meeting. Unless it is the end of the world, I will not look for you again for other things. Nick Fury pleaded. Come on, as the head of the Avengers, but I can't even summon a single Avenger right now, if only Tony and Steve knew the current. One last time, and there will be no next time, Fury. Wanda got a headache when she heard him mentioning the two old friends and playing emotional cards. Think of it as Captain America and Tony, the two former spiritual leaders of the Avengers, attending the Avengers meeting for the last time. Wait a minute and the shield plane will take you to Germany. I think you and your little boyfriend will like their rigor and football. Nick Fury breathed a sigh of relief when he heard this. If you can't find any Avengers, I don't know how many people are watching shield jokes. Wanda ignored him. Scarlet light wrapped around his body, lifted him up and flew towards the hotel. A 5-star, resplendent hotel in Prague. The door to the 3rd floor room opened. Lee, are you asleep? Wanda opened the door expectantly and walked through the hallway, only to find that there was no one on the big bed, only a few pieces of clothing randomly placed on it. Crack. Crack. Sorry, I was taking a shower just now and I haven't cleaned the room yet. Li Zi wiped her wet hair, and her delicate face after bathing was foggy in the low temperature of autumn. You didn't sneak out just now, did you? Wanda picked up the messy clothes on the bed and asked casually. She doesn't want to restrict Li Zi's freedom. But tonight's Prague is too dangerous. The appearance of hellfire elements almost destroys the playground, and there is still a mysterious ghost that has not been dealt with. No, I've been staying in the room. Li Zi walked over calmly, put his arms around her waist, buried his head on her neck, and asked softly, are you tired from the mission? I'm not tired. I didn't make any effort at all. They were all taken care of by the Sombra. That person is very powerful. Nick Fury shouldn't have to worry about the fact that there won't be a new superhero in the world. Feeling the warmth in her arms, Wanda briefly recounted what happened tonight. She didn't notice, however. Li Zi, who was buried in his neck, didn't listen at all. His voice gradually became hoarse and dangerous. Well, you are so tired from the mission. This time it's my turn to reward you. I'm not tired, just let go. Wanda gradually realized that something was wrong, and she stuck out her tongue as soon as she spoke. Thinking of how tossed this guy was yesterday. Definitely mainly because I believed in his nonsense, saying that he did not cross the line, the result was. In addition to not crossing the line, there is really only not crossing the line. Wanda quickly pushed and pulled him away. Don't mess around, we're going to fly to Germany later. What? Li Zi was stunned. Aren't you going back to Zijing Town? Li, I forgot to discuss with you in advance. The plan has changed temporarily. I have to attend a security meeting. Wanda was afraid that he would be angry, so she quickly explained. Nick Fury said, this is the last time. After this time, I will no longer be an Avenger. Li Zi's eyes were dark and gloomy. He originally didn't care. Anyway, it would take a week at most to leave the hiding place. It's only been 2 days now, and he's not in a hurry to go back. After all, after staying in Zijing Town for so long, it is not recommended to go out more. Only. Black Braised Egg is afraid that this is his Wanda being used as a toolman. And this time, without thinking too much, Captain America and Tony must be kidnapped morally again. The former is one of Wanda's few heart-to-heart friends, and the latter is the hero who saves the world. I have to say, I can handle Wanda very well. It seems necessary to teach Nick Fury a lesson and let him improve his memory. You'll love that. Fury said the football atmosphere in Germany is great. Don't you love football too? Seeing his silence, Wanda sat down in a panic and persuaded softly. I didn't say no, but there is one thing you have to remember. I don't like German football as much as China's national football team, as well as Bayern Munich football. Li Zi complained secretly in his heart. His home team's eternal enemy, the evil German, has made him have tragic memories both in the club and the national team. Well, we don't go there to watch football. Hearing this, Wanda was relieved knowing that Li Zi was not angry. Afterwards, the two of them didn't delay anymore, simply packed up their clothes, said goodbye to Peter Parker in the dormitory next door, and headed to the pickup location. Not long after, a high-tech Quinjet appeared in the dark and picked them up. In the cabin. Black marinated egg, we meet again. Sitting on the sofa, Lee Z looked up and saw the one-eyed black man coming out of the cabin. Boy, you are lucky to be able to fly on this plane. Quinjet is the most advanced fighter jet in S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury sat across the table and said proudly. But, it has been used for more than 10 years, or even longer, hasn't it? Lee Z interrupted him with a word. How do you know? Danger flashed across Nick Fury's eyes. Sure enough, this guy has a problem. Old guy. I saw the Avengers using it more than 10 years ago. Now it's 2024. Quinjet is already an old thing. Lee Z said unhurriedly. Fact. Nick Fury was at a loss for words for a moment, and he suddenly realized that Quinjet had appeared during the New York War. 12 years have now passed. Lee, you are the first person who can shut his mouth. Wanda, who had been laughing and not saying a word, leaned forward and whispered in Lee Z's ear. Wanda, I can hear, but he's second, Tony Stark first. Nick Fury shook his head, and added, unfortunately, you can't be Tony Stark. According to our reporter's report, a supernatural attack occurred in Prague tonight, and the attacker was finally solved by members of the Black Shadow Corps. At this time, news came from the wall-mounted TV, interrupting the conversation of several people. It's the Black Shadow Group, they've been big celebrities these 2 days. Lee Z pretended to be surprised. This organization is very powerful, and so far, we have not found any clues about them. Nick Fury looked at the screen, and the figure in midair raised his hand and released the frozen wall. He said in a low voice unwillingly, if it was 5 years ago, I would have turned the Shadow Group upside down. Not necessarily, after all, he is right in front of your eyes, and you can't find any clues. Lee Z took a sip of wine and said quietly, the investigation is not as simple as you think, Shiete. I'm actually trying to explain the idea of a super agent to an ordinary person. I am really crazy. Nick Fury waved his hand, complained and got up and walked towards the cockpit. Don't pay attention to him, Lee, your life is already what countless people yearn for. Wanda frowned slightly, comforting. It's okay, my life is perfect. Staring at the beautiful face in front of her, Lee Z slowly moved closer and kissed her. You? Lee don't. A few minutes later. Wanda covered her rosy lips, curled up in the corner of the sofa with an aggrieved face, looked at the Oriental man in front of her red eyes, and her eyes were full of complaints. Lee, have you ever heard of Vixen? What's the meaning? I mean, are you going to suck me dry? At the same time, 5-star hotel in Prague. In the corner of the monitoring blind spot. A cloud of black mist emerged out of thin air, and for a moment the black mist condensed into a human form. A woman with a kind face but evil eyes, strode out. She took a deep breath, her expression suddenly gloomy. They actually left again. Agatha was angry. She had just arrived in Venice before, but Lee Z and Wanda came to Prague. Now she came to Prague, and the two of them left again. Okay, Lee Z, you dare to run around the world with my stuff, don't let me catch you. Word off. Her figure turned into a black mist. Only a black feather was left on the spot, slowly falling down. Berlin, Germany. In the 1940s, there was a human demon living here, and now Berlin has become one of the world's important economic and trade cities. The Berlin Film Festival has become the world's 3 major film festivals. Awards that countless film and television practitioners are eager to get. Late at night, after Lee Z and Wanda arrived at the hotel prepared by S.H.I.E.L.D., they were too tired to participate in any activities, and fell asleep when they arrived at the hotel. After going through the events of the Hellfire Elementals, Wanda was tired and fell asleep. Safe night, slacker, don't fall asleep and get up. In the early morning of the next day, Wanda felt the light suddenly brighten in front of her eyes while she was sleeping. She frowned slightly and pulled off the quilt to cover her head, wrapped herself tightly, and said weakly and softly, don't disturb me, let me sleep for a while. But it's 8 o'clock now. Lee Z sat by the bed, looking at the woman who was curled up under the quilt and refused to come out, feeling a little helpless. But I usually get up at 9 o'clock. Wanda showed her head with a bitter face, with a look of reluctance. Her schedule is not as good as Lee Z's, getting up on time at 6:30 every day. Comrade Witch, you can't waste the best time in your life on sleeping. The great Lionel da Vinci, he only sleeps 4 hours a day. Lee Z couldn't help pinching her face. Maybe it was because of the weather. The witch's fair face looked a little flushed in the morning. People can't help but want to lean down and kiss lightly. So I choose to be a salted fish. Wanda said and rolled to the other side of the bed, wanting to continue sleeping and go back to the cage. But she got up in the end, because she found that she couldn't fall asleep after waking up, so she was forced to get up and wash her face with displeasure. Witch. What is your expression? Li Zi leaned on the bathroom threshold and smiled. Don't call me a witch, you're taking an hour off my sleep. Wanda did the math, she got up early these 3 days, which made her less energetic than before. You have to strive to be a hard-working witch, a great ability cannot be wasted. Li Zi said solemnly. I don't care about you. Wanda rolled her eyes, coaxing her with such words every time. That's exactly what happened. What Li Zi said is the truth. Wanda's magical ability is even much better than Doctor Strange, mainly because of the blessing of origin magic power. In a short time, I found out the Dark Divine Book. Think about it. Li Zi suddenly remembered that he forgot someone, Agatha. That old hag is still in Westview Town. I don't know if she will come after her. After all, the old witch doubts her identity, and she is probably afraid that Wanda will be taken away. After we go back, we have to get rid of her quickly, and bring the Dark God Book by the way. Li Zi pondered in his heart, to get rid of Agatha, isn't the Book of Darkness just in his pocket? At that time, after he learns by himself, he can let Wanda learn too. In the catastrophic Marvel universe, there are too many skills to avoid the end of the world like Thanos in the future. Why are you in a daze? At this time, Wanda had already changed into a scarlet windbreaker, and waved her hand in front of his eyes a few times. Let's go, the museum is about to open. When I passed the museum last night, I saw the ancient treasures of Egypt being exhibited. The two felt that it was novel and planned to go and see it today. Although it is not a local specialty of Germany, the ancient Egyptian culture is also very attractive. Besides, there seems to be nothing worth visiting in the local area. And the meeting Nick Fury mentioned didn't happen so soon. As for the mystery guest's last farce in London, it is not yet known whether it will happen. After all, the appearance of Li Zi has caused a butterfly effect. Whether Quentin can get Stark's Edith glasses is a question. Without the Edith glasses, with his current drone equipment, it is impossible to achieve the catastrophic performance of the end of the world. Museum. Since it is a weekday, there is very little traffic in the museum. Li Zi and Wanda followed the group of tourists and walked in the cold hall. The guide in front pointed to a mural and said, everyone, as early as in ancient times, people liked to depict the gods they saw into the mural. It's so boring, I think I've come to the wrong place. Wanda glanced around boredly, and found that several people were yawning. It's so boring, it's better to stay in the hotel and sleep. It seems that the museum's business is not very good, and young people don't like these things. Li Zi shook his head, some things are gradually being eliminated. Times have changed, and young people are now more willing to stay at home and browse the internet, resulting in fewer people visiting museums. Not just museums, but sports as well. The Real Madrid chairman of the La Liga Super League once announced that fewer and fewer young people are playing football, and they are more willing to stay at home or participate in esports activities. The truth is, times change and some things are being phased out. Looking at a few old-fashioned things in the museum seems to gradually become less important. Li, why don't we go to other places to see? Wanda took his hand and said, wait, look at that. Li Zi stood where he was, pointing to a tall statue in the distance. It was a statue holding a sickle and wearing a helmet inlaid with a crow's long beak. His empty eyes were as unpredictable as an abyss. What's wrong? Wanda didn't see any problem. Sir, that is the statue of Kongzu, the moon god. The museum made it based on document records and mural images. The tour guide noticed Li Zi's behavior. Seeing someone interested in Egyptian culture, he immediately explained with a smile. Kongzu, the moon god. Li Zi was surprised, not that he was a lover of Egyptian culture. It was the statue of Kongzu, the moon god, who reminded him of a man. Moon Knight. Seeing this scene, Li Zi has a strong sixth sense, always feeling as if something terrible is about to happen. He's a pathetic fellow. Just as he was thinking, a person walked by at some point, wearing a hood and putting his hands in his pockets, looking at the statue and saying slowly. Li Zi heard the sound and looked. His expression was startled. Mark? You know me? Mark Spector said cautiously. Your tourist sign has your name on it. Li Zi pointed to his sightseeing board. It's better that way. Mark Spector didn't pay much attention to it, turned around and left holding the sightseeing card, and walked towards the depths of the museum. You know him? Wanda looked at the tugging Dumounon, and asked suspiciously. Do not know. Li Zi squinted slightly, staring at the figure that disappeared at the end of the corridor. He definitely knows. The man in the hood is the moon god's bender, the Moonlight Knight, Mark Spector. Lee Z wonders if it is because he has his own attributes that he can always meet key figures in the Marvel universe. Just superhero has Wanda, then Peter Parker, and now Moonlight Knight. Judging from the hostility in Mark's eyes just now, it is now the protagonist Mark Spector, who may be performing a mercenary mission. Something to do with Luna. But Lee Z is too lazy to meddle in other things, and he doesn't like Luna's things. Might as well hang out with Wanda. Hurry up, it's too boring here. Wanda next to her was a little impatient, and she was afraid of hurting the tour guide. After all, the uncle seemed to like these cultures very much, so she had to pull Lee Z to urge her in a low voice. Lee Z let himself be dragged away. However, what they didn't know was that after the two left, the eyes of the statue of the moon god Kongzu moved slightly, as if it had been watching them all the time. A majestic triumphal arch is located on the east side of the avenue, and many foreign tourists gather under the gate of the building to take pictures. It is the Brandenburg Gate built in the 17th century. My god, it's much grander than it looks in the pictures. Wanda looked up at the Arc de Triomphe, filled with emotion. After leaving the museum just now, the two went directly to nearby attractions. Wilhelm E probably didn't expect it to survive into the 21st century. However, Washa also has many magnificent buildings. I have the opportunity to show you. Lee Z took out the camera and posted Wanda, don't move, take a photo. Click. Just a moment after the shutter drops. A familiar female voice came from behind the two of them, with a very surprised tone, Lee Z. Wanda? I didn't expect to meet you here. Agnes. Why are you here? Aunt Agnes. Why are you here? When Wanda heard the sound, she turned around and saw the person who was greeting her. It was actually Josh's aunt, Agnes. She was surprised to meet acquaintances as far away as Northern Europe. Aunt Agnes, long time no see. Lee Z was taken aback for a moment. He was still thinking about finding a chance to get rid of the old witch this morning. Unexpectedly, the old witch came to the door in the afternoon. It seemed that she was really worried that he would take Wanda away. After all, in the eyes of black magicians, the temptation of origin magic power is not so great. I'm here to visit a relative. Agatha showed a kind smile, raised the bag in her hand. I just came out and bought some desserts. Do you want to try some? Sorry, I really want to eat it, but I just had breakfast not long ago and haven't digested it yet. Wanda rubbed her belly, glanced at Lee Z, and said speechlessly, it's Lie's fault, he ordered too much early. I'm worried that you won't have enough to eat. With an innocent face, Lee Z touched Wanda's soft belly. I think you're going to fatten me up and dump me. Wanda couldn't help complaining when she thought of the breakfast full of people who had attracted a lot of strange looks earlier. Who said that? I feel fatter and more voluptuous. Lee Z lowered his head in her ear and said softly, I'm preparing for the future. Stay away. Wanda felt the heat coming from her ears. Her face instantly turned red like a boiled lobster. She buried her head on his shoulder, gritted her teeth and said, Lee Z, there are still outsiders here. Can you stop talking nonsense? No more talking nonsense, I bit you. You? Agatha, who was standing opposite, was stunned when she saw this scene. Her vicissitudes of eyes revealed both confusion and shock. The two of us are now boyfriend and girlfriend. Lee Z clasped Wanda's hand tightly and explained. What? Agatha exclaimed in disbelief. Aunt Agnes, you don't have to be so surprised, do you? Wanda twitched the corner of her mouth. Josh's aunt reacted more than she was confessed. I'm just amazed how fast young people are progressing. Agatha realized her gaffe and hurriedly explained. It's mainly due to fate. Seeing this, Lee Z's mouth curled up into a playful smile. The old witch probably missed this point. Aha. Agatha noticed his expression and nodded fiercely. Very good. She underestimated Lee Z. This guy actually captured Wanda directly in order to get the origin magic power. This is the rhythm that both origin magic power and Wanda want. Thinking about it, Agatha came up with a new strategy. She knew that Lee Z couldn't be exposed, after all, if Lee Z joined forces with Wanda. She absolutely can't bear to walk around. Judging from the events reported in the news before, Lee Z's strength is not weaker than her. You two. I want to take my things back first, see you another day. In the end, Agatha decided to take a long-term plan and left with a bag of desserts. Lee, do you think Aunt Agnes is a bit weird? Wanda stared at Agatha's back, and did not look back until the back disappeared. With a slightly complicated expression, she thought for a moment and said slowly. What's weird? Lee Z was a little surprised. Wanda found a problem. I can't tell, but she seems like a nice person. Wanda shook, a little weirdly, and there was no problem with it. Imaging crazy things. Lee Z squeezed her cheek viciously. Go. Take a picture over there, and go to other places later. Wanda touched the pinched face and didn't think about Agatha anymore. Maybe she was worrying too much. Aunt Agnes is such a good person. When she was in Westview Town, she would come to chat with her every day. It is a rare good neighbor. Hey, Lee, don't go so fast. Wanda was thinking about it, when Lee Z next to her pulled her to run over there. Hurry up. Wait until the sun is about to rise overhead. For the next morning, the two visited almost all the scenic spots in Berlin, ranging from the Brandenburg Gate to the Wanghong Bridge. The camera also recorded the itinerary of the two. It was obviously just a sightseeing spot, and they traveled around by car, but they didn't feel bored or tired, and they were very happy. I even feel that time flies by and flies by quickly. This feeling always makes people feel subtle. Until the sun climbed to the top of the head, the scorching sun shone brightly on the earth. Lee Z and Wanda were willing to stop at a cold drink shop. So tired. Lee Z leaned back on the chair, took a sip of the cold Coke. Feeling the pleasure of the cold tongue, he had the urge to pour the Coke on his head. When you pulled me before, why didn't you think you were tired? Wanda was speechless. She didn't know who was dragging her to keep walking. How can the process of being with you be tiring? Otherwise I would have let go. Lee Z wiped off the sweat from his forehead, raised his eyebrows and said, Can you stop talking like that? Wanda quickly picked up the cold drink cup to cover her face. Although she listened to it a lot and felt warm in her heart, she still felt uncomfortable every time she heard it. I'm talking from the bottom of my heart, okay? Lee Z looked at her cute behavior, and it turned out that the witch's face was too thin. I can't bear a word. Take out your heart and show me if it's true. Wanda wanted to say this, but her heart softened when she said it. This is so unlucky. Let's go back, I want to take a nap. Wanda stretched her waist, her face was tanned red under the scorching sun, showing tiredness. Okay. I have something more fun to go back to the hotel. Hearing this, Lee Z instantly became refreshed. What are you doing? Wanda shrank her neck, looked at the man's sunny and handsome face. Why did she feel that there were evil thoughts in this face? If Lee Z knew what she was thinking, she would definitely say that this is not an evil thought, this is the true nature of a man. After returning to the hotel, it was past 12:30 noon. The two had a quick meal in the restaurant downstairs before returning to their room. It's all your fault, it made me sweat all over. Wanda took off the windbreaker, and the clothes she was wearing inside were already soaked and sticky, which made people feel uncomfortable. Then what should I do? How about I wash it for you? Lee Z swallowed, but never took his eyes off Wanda. Because the clothes the witch is wearing are very thin, and after being wet with sweat, they cling to her skin, perfectly showing her mature and charming figure. And after being exposed to the sun for a long time, the witch's white and tender skin was slightly rosy, and her pair of clear and beautiful eyes made her look both clean and charming. Thinking about it, Lee Z added another sentence. I really don't want to. If we work together, we can save water resources, and it can be considered as a curve to protect the world. Go away. Wanda saw the heat in his eyes and rolled her eyes speechlessly. Since being with this guy for the past 2 days, he has become more and more indecisive, and he dare not think about what will happen in the future. Okay, then hurry up. Lee Z is not disappointed. Anyway, there are still many opportunities in the future. But not disappointed is not disappointed. Crash. When the sound of running water in the bathroom sounded, it made people a little restless. After a while, the bathroom door opened. Wanda walked out wearing her pajamas and bathed in the mist. As soon as she came out, she met Lee Z's fiery gaze head-on, and she subconsciously hugged her pajamas tightly. She asked slowly, Aren't you going to wash? Let's watch a movie together after washing. Uh-huh. Lee Z picked up the clothes on the bed, and walked towards the bathroom in some embarrassment. Weird guy. Wanda blinked her eyes in confusion, not knowing what happened to Lee Z at all. Obviously, Wanda, who has only been in love with robots since she was a child, has no idea how seductive the water lotus is to men. Lee Z was really afraid that if he stayed for a while longer, he couldn't help breaking the previous agreement with the witch. But in the end he chose to respect the witch. Did not break your own principles. After more than half an hour. The bathroom door just opened. Why did you take so long to wash? Wanda lay on the bed and rummaged through movies for a long time, and finally waited until Lee Z came out. Her pretty face was full of doubts. I thought only women would wash for such a long time. This time it's your fault. You have to make it up to me tonight. Li Zi looked at her speechlessly, wondering if the witch did it on purpose, whether she was innocent, or really didn't know. Wanda had a question mark on her face. She didn't seem to do anything. However, she was used to Li Zi's weirdness, so she reached out and patted the empty seat beside her. Hurry up, we haven't seen a movie together yet. Li Zi could see that the witch was really innocent. Forget it, there will be time to teach later. He was quite helpless, and lay down next to Wanda. What movie did you pick? Titan Nick. Well, I heard people say that this movie is very suitable for couples to watch together. Wanda nodded. Haven't you seen it with anyone else? Li Zi asked casually. No, because of my living environment and the fact that I smuggled to the United States at a very young age, I rarely watch movies. The most memorable ones are the sitcoms I watched when I was a child. Wanda shook her head, held Li Zi's hand and said slowly, I really haven't watched a movie with a man other than my brother and father. You are the first one. She was telling the truth. She grew up in a war-torn area, and when she was a teenager she smuggled to the United States with her younger brother, so she had no time for entertainment. Not to mention going to the movies with someone you care about. Which, it's my pleasure. Even though Li Zi asked casually, he felt very warm when he heard this. In today's society, many people feel that it doesn't matter for the first time, but the fact is that even watching a movie together for the first time can make people feel happy. In many cases, the most nostalgic moment is often the first time. Perhaps everyone has a possessive desire in their hearts. It's just that some people don't have strong desires in this regard. Titan Nick is a love movie, and it is also a great work in the history of movies. It tells a story that makes no one shed tears. It also makes people yearn for that kind of love. Wanda watched this kind of movie for the first time, and she watched it very seriously. Li Zi didn't bother, and he was also engrossed in watching. Exactly. He spends most of his time admiring Wanda's long legs. For him who has watched Titan Nick several times, the appeal of this movie is far less attractive than the witch's slender and greasy legs. Not to mention, the witch not only has slender legs, white and beautiful. Her feet on the snow-white quilt also made people unable to take their eyes off. Especially the snow-white sheets, which make the skin whiter and greasy, and the exposed toes are pink and tender, which is extraordinarily beautiful. If it is paired with black silk, white silk, knee socks. At this time, Maizu curled up slightly shyly, and a shy voice interrupted his why, does it look good? Ah. Cough cough cough, not bad. Li Zi raised his head to meet Wanda's beautiful pink pupils, and coughed slightly in embarrassment. Li, do you like my feet very much? Wanda had been concentrating on watching a movie just now, and only when she lowered her head did she realize that this guy's eyes were on her slender legs and Ryu's feet the whole time. For a moment, she was a little overwhelmed, shyly put her feet back under the quilt. Well, as long as it's yours, I like it. Li Zi is not a foot controller. He has to admit that the witch's feet have reached food grade, and he can step on the old sauerkraut. I just wonder why you men like legs and feet, but you can't use them to have children. Wanda didn't expect him to be so direct. She didn't know what to say for a while, and asked this sentence out of nowhere. Actually, they are very useful. Speaking of this, Li Zi's eyes lit up, and he immediately became more energetic. I'll teach you. Wanda. Wow, why does it feel like I've been tricked again? No, I want to watch a movie. Wanda noticed that the man's expression was suddenly full of energy, and immediately knew that it must be something bad, so she wouldn't be hooked. I didn't say now, I just wanted to prepare for the future. Li Zi touched Wanda's white legs. They were so delicate and tender that one couldn't put them down. He is like a child who has dug up a treasure. When he became interested, he took the tablet of the bedside table and looked down at the content. What are you doing? Wanda glanced curiously from the corner of her eye, as if she saw the interface of the shopping app. What is this man doing with the shopping app? Is he going to buy something weird? Wanda suddenly remembered that I accidentally saw it in an adult magazine before. Some people like to use some tools to increase their interest when they are there. Should he also buy those things? Think about it. The witch tightened the quilt covering her body, poked Li Zi with her tender white feet, and asked softly vigilantly, I don't agree with what you want to buy, so don't mess around. Dear Wanda, I'm just buying a few pairs of socks and clothes, why are you so nervous? Li Zi put the tablet in front of her speechlessly, and it showed some socks. Call. I thought you were going to buy something weird. Wanda glanced over and breathed a sigh of relief. What's weird? A smirk formed at the corner of Li Zi's mouth, and he pinched her tender face. Comrade Witch, your thoughts are a bit dirty, and you always like to think wildly. I didn't, I was led astray by you, Wanda argued. I obviously don't know much, but I was led astray after a short time with him. Whose thoughts are the dirtiest, you can tell at a glance, okay? Well, Comrade Witch is a pure child. Lee Z smiled and flipped through a few pages of the search page, handed the tablet back to Wanda's arms, and said softly, come, pick some socks and clothes. Wanda lost her temper when she heard his sudden gentle voice, and took the tablet obediently. I have to say, the gentle Lee Z is really hard to resist. Especially the deep and magnetic voice, sometimes it really makes one's legs weak. However, when Wanda just took the tablet and was about to choose a few obediently, her smiling face froze. Lee Z, what are you buying me for? Within a few words, the witch's fair cheeks were as red as boiled lobsters, revealing her shyness. Socks and clothes. Lee Z came over, hugged her and planned to choose a few together. You sure? Wanda turned a few pages, and found that one page was turned down. It is indeed socks and clothes, but the socks are precisely stockings. And they are all styles that I have never seen before, each with different patterns and colors, polka dots, stripes, black silk, white silk. As for clothes, Wanda turned a few more pages, her slightly wrinkled brow tightened even more. The clothes are all professional performances, especially a nurse outfit. Over-the-knee suspender stockings, with 2 suspender lines on each side hooked to the lace-trimmed stockings. Paired with a pure white skirt, it looks looming and full of seductive charm. I don't buy it. Wanda couldn't stand it anymore. She turned the tablet over on the bed, and curled up under the quilt with a blushing face. She knew that every time Lee showed that expression, nothing good would happen. She really can't wear such shameful clothes, mainly because those styles of clothes are no different from not wearing them. Sure enough, men are all lustful. Why? Lee Z looked at the bulging quilt and was not surprised. The education the witch received made her not used to it. From her Avengers trench coat style battlesuit, it can be seen that revealing clothes are unacceptable in her heart. Lee Z, I'm asleep. Wanda curled up under the blanket and didn't plan to go out for the time being. Lee Z didn't do what she wanted, so he stretched out his hand and pulled her out, hugged her in his arms, and said softly, Wanda, just pick a few. Lee, don't try to seduce me with this kind of voice. Wanda felt the sound of pregnancy attached to her ear. She was a little overwhelmed, her body limp in her strong embrace. Anyway, you only show me this dress. If there is anything to be shy about, just treat it as a reward for me. Lee Z knew that the witch would definitely soften her heart, and if she missed this opportunity, she would be gone, so she turned all her firepower, adjusted her voice and continued to persuade softly. Okay, just buy a few, and I won't wear too much. Not half a minute. Wanda relented and gave in. Anyway, she only wears it for Lee Z to see, as a reward. Give. As soon as he finished speaking, Lee Z couldn't wait to hand over the tablet. The next few minutes, Wanda felt that this was the most embarrassing moment in her life. Her cheeks were hot all the time. She couldn't remember the last time she felt this way. Maybe not. Because there is no one like Lee Z, a prodigal son. Choose it. Wanda struggled to pick a few clothes that were barely bearable. Then he quickly dropped the tablet, as if afraid of being exposed to the plague. Good taste. Lee Z commented solemnly. These sets of stockings, coupled with the witch's slender, white and smooth long legs, will definitely be a beautiful picture of prosperity. Don't talk. I'm too lazy to talk to you now. Wanda's mind is full of what she will look like after wearing those clothes when the time comes. Thinking of her toes couldn't help tightening, wishing to find a crack to get in and never come out for the rest of her life. Phil in Zijing Town is the address, and you should be there in 2 days when you go back. Lee Z glanced at the shopping list, and after filling in the address, he lowered his head and kissed the hot woman in his arms. Witch, you are so kind. I'm so sleepy and want to sleep. Wanda nestled in Lee Z's arms in a daze, with her eyes closed and drowsy. She is really sleepy. Unlike other Avengers who possess supernatural abilities. She was very weak, and she was tired after walking all morning, and she had tossed and tossed for more than an hour when she came back, and now she was half asleep. Good afternoon. Lee Z didn't toss about any more, and stroked the witch until she felt that she was falling asleep, then slowly got up and turned off the TV. Adjusted the temperature of the air conditioner, turned around and walked out of the room into the study next door. Nick Fury had a poisonous mouth, but the welfare did not fall. They were arranged in a hotel suite, with the bedrooms separated from the dining room and study room. Come to the study. Spiritualization, it's time to finish. In the past 2 days, Li Zi didn't use creation magic, and had a pleasant vacation with Wanda, making him forget about it. After seeing Agatha this morning, he realized that he had to deal with this guy quickly. Because according to system settings, once the person who knows his true strength chooses to expose him directly, or to expose his strength to others, that is, if a third person knows, then the hidden mission will be judged to be a failure. And if you want to reopen it, you must let all those who know the truth forget about themselves, so that you can reopen the hidden mission. Call. Thinking about it, Li Zi took a deep breath, and waved an ocean of stars over his head. Call. Li Zi put aside the distracting thoughts in his mind, took a deep breath and immersed himself in the work of creation. At the moment, the doors and windows of the study room are closed, the ceiling is covered by a sea of stars, and the bright stars are all over the head, and every point of light is full of power. Any one of them can change reality, and they follow Li Zi's thought fluctuations to construct new concepts. After several months, Li Zi discovered that the so-called creative magic is actually the ability to create and distort reality. But at present, it is limited to the single universe. It's not like eternity, one of the 5 great gods, who can tamper with cosmic events at will, or even control the direction of the multi-universe. And reaching the level of eternity, the single universe can no longer bear the body. Because a single universe cannot carry the energy of a multi-universe, if a multi-universe level existence appears in a single universe, it may cause the universe to collapse, or even be annihilated from this world. This is why there are countless eternities in the single universe, but in fact they are all just duplications of eternities, and there is only one real eternity. Time passed, more than an hour later. The sea of stars above his head formed a vortex, condensing into a ball of light. The ball of light radiated bursts of power, hovered over the ceiling for a moment, and fell down tremblingly. It's done. Li Zi was overjoyed, because it was almost perfected before, and now it was just the final perfection, so it didn't take much time. He looked at the ball of light hovering above his head, reached out and took it off, and the words, spiritualization technique, appeared on it. In fact, what he created can no longer be called the technique of spiritualization, it is a completely different technique. After all, there are a lot of similar techniques in Chinese mythology. Soul astral, killing people in invisible. As for the name Linghua Jishu, Li Zi is simply too lazy to name it. For him, it is the top 10 most difficult things in the world. Naming is undoubtedly one of them. You can struggle with several names for a long time, and at a glance, several choices seem to be okay. But none of them seem to work. I don't know if I can deal with Agatha. Li Zi pondered, and put away the magic illusion with a wave of his hand. Then absorbed the light ball in the palm, and then the brain has a lot of information about the spiritualization technique. Now that the art of spiritualization has taken shape, whether it can deal with Agatha remains to be verified. After all, Agatha is also an old witch who has lived for centuries, her experience and the magic she has learned are no less than that of the former sorcerer's supreme ancient one. Both are magicians who have lived for centuries. It's just that the former specializes in dark magic, while the latter combines the two, so that black magic does not erode the mind. I don't know what level Agatha is now, Li Zi pondered. Magic is different from China's Dongfang Xuanwan. The former cannot be judged by the naked eye, nor can it be used to spy on the inner vision through perception. What's more, the magicians in the Marvel Universe actually absorb the power of Mephisto, transform it, and use it for themselves. In other words, the energy of many magicians is not their own, but they borrow from Mephisto with spells, which is equivalent to users of Mephisto. So is the Sorcerer Supreme Ancient One, which is as strong as it is. Therefore, it is even more impossible for Li Zi to see it with the naked eye, definitely unless it is able to see Agatha cast spells and judge through the display of spells. But it doesn't matter whether Agatha is strong or weak. Li Zi has to take a risk, let a time bomb stay with him. Even if he travels abroad, he has to follow closely behind. This feeling of being spied on in life is difficult for any individual to accept. Take a step and look at it. Anyway, the boat will be straight when it reaches the bridge. Li Zi yawned and stretched, getting ready to go out. Ding ding ding. At this time, the doorbell rang, followed by a call from the phone at the door. Wanda, this is Nick Fury, there is an emergency at the door. Outside the door. Nick Fury kept opening his sleeves to check the time. Sweat was all over his forehead, it was obvious that he ran over just now, and his breathing seemed a little short of breath. Crack. Crack. Wanda is sleeping, what's up? The door opened, it was Li Zi, he wondered. Now the sun is shining brightly in broad daylight, So what's the matter with black marinated eggs? I'm looking for Wanda. It's useless for you to listen to what I have to say. Nick Fury glanced at the time, and said with a strong black accent, God Fark, it's past 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're still sleeping. You've been up since last night and didn't sleep until morning? I have better physical strength. Lee Z raised his eyebrows with an expression that you understand, and when he was about to continue speaking, a hand came up behind him and pulled him to the side suddenly. Lee. What are you talking about again? Wanda's beautiful face was full of helplessness. She ran over as soon as she was woken up, and heard this guy slandering herself again. Damn man. I'm sharing something interesting. Lee Z shrugged and said innocently. Okay, Lee Z, stop first. I think my business is more important. It concerns the lives of many people. Nick Fury looked anxious, and now that he saw Wanda coming, he quickly pushed the two of them inside, and closed the door solemnly. What's up? Wanda has psychic ability, so she is very sensitive to perceive the emotional fluctuations in Nick Fury's heart. In a hurry, nervous. New news came from the mysterious guest, and he detected a large number of magnetic field fluctuations. After investigation, it was found that it is very likely that the elements are making a comeback. Nick Fury said with a heavy tone, aren't they all resolved? Wanda was stunned for a moment. Always feeling that something was wrong, she witnessed the collapse of the elements. Why are these guys still alive? Coincidentally, after eliminating them one by one, let them find a chance to integrate. What we have to deal with now is the integrated body of the 4 elements. Nick Fury explained. He was also shocked when he first heard the news. He thought that everything was over and he could attend the meeting with peace of mind and deal with other things. Unexpectedly, the elements will make a comeback again. Just like Super Sentai, fit together. Lee Z was a little surprised. He thought that his appearance would disrupt the mysterious guest's plan. As a result, the mystery guest still started the last farce. It seems that the simple little Spider-Man was probably deceived by the mysterious guest to take away his glasses. Otherwise Quentin would not take the risk of performing the script of The Last Savior in London. Sure enough, little Spider-Man is too simple. He has to be beaten severely to learn to be good.